Hello there, everybody. Um, what's up, YouTube? What's up, everyone? Um, I got some stuff to come back and stream and talk about. Isn't that nice? And it's not going to be a history stream. It's also not going to be a cooking stream. Um, and it's not going to be about the sector. So no stuff about Medicare, Mr. Medicaid man, Mr. Medicaid Medicare. None of that. Not a cooking stream and not a history stream either. Not an education stream. None of those. Just a raw Forge Gang stream by a hard man. Let's go! Forge Gang. And just a typical Forge Gang stream. More freelance, just more freelance talk. Kind of like the old days. The old days where I just really talked whatever was on my mind and didn't really try to plan out or to monologue ahead of time. So, not a history stream, not a cooking stream, just a raw Forge Gang stream. Kind of like I used to do it, man. So, what's up, y'all? How are y'all doing? I've been watching some of Montagraph lately. Now, I didn't know who Montagraph was, and I still don't know too much about him. I don't really know that much about Montagraph, and I've only really started watching him since a couple of months ago. 2 months ago, at the most. And it's been kind of on off. And out of those 2 months, it's only really been the last 3 weeks that I've consistently watched every stream of Montagraph's. So I still don't know too much about Montagraph. I haven't watched or followed him like some other people have for years and years and years. So, I mean, I don't know that much about this guy. I don't know much about the history of Montagraph. If he's just a grifter, you know, is he just kind of a grifter? Is he a really master hacker? Is he just faking it? I don't know. I have not known this guy since this year. I didn't know anything about him in 2023. And up until just 2 months ago, I barely knew much of anything about Montagraph. So far, he's been making the right goals. Like, so far as I've been watching Montagraph, he's been saying the right stuff. He's been saying what I want to hear. He's talked about the kind of stuff that I like to talk about. He's hit all the goals expected. And it has been such a long time, really too long, since I have actually listened to someone who actually makes logical sense like that. He does kind of sound logical. He does sort of sound based. I want to think that he sounds based. I want to think that, but I don't know too much about this guy still, and I'm just I'm a relatively new audience to Montagraph, and I just can't say too much about him. Hopefully, I hope that he turns out to be a real interesting streamer. He seems to know a lot about coding and about just a lot of stuff in regards to crypto and to coding, and Montagraph is really interesting to watch, and I recommend him. Like, he hasn't said anything that I really strongly disagree with yet, but I don't know him that well also, so I can't really say for sure. But I've been watching him mostly because I am flat out sick of the sector. I don't watch no one on the sector or no one in the sector. I watch Jay Dyer and Montagraph and a few other people that have nothing to do with this fucking sector. I'm just sick to death of it, dude. The only person from the sector that I watch is Mr. Medicare, to be honest. And he's the only guy that I pay any attention to. But yeah. Now, I'm starting to learn quite a bit about Jay Dyer. And that guy has a wife or a girlfriend that used to be with a guy that was in Alex Jones's inner circle. And it actually looks like that Jay Dyer actually copied all of his apologetic arguments for orthodoxy from this other dude. And so, yeah, I found someone that used to be relatively close to Jay Dyer, and they say that he's a fake. They've said that he is a major ass fake person. And I finally have met someone. I'm not going to say who they are because I want to befriend this guy. But this guy is close to Jay Dyer, sort of, at least on the internet. And, I plan, to get some clout from Jay Dyer. This is not about Jay Dyer, though, but yeah. This is some interesting stuff, but you know what? Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. That's fine. And how are you doing today, 3-4? Forge Gang, I am still a hard man. What's up, bro? How are you doing this evening? Hello, sir. I don't know much about Jay Dyer. He's an Eastern Orthodox grifter, basically. He's kind of from out in Tennessee, Appalachia. I'm good, man. How are you? I'm doing good. I'm just talking about some of these grifters. But yeah, this is not going to be about Jay Dyer, but I have befriended a few people that are relatively close to Jay Dyer, and they know some stuff about the man. And I can get that information from them, and I can disclose it to you. And I can tell you guys, some stuff about him. And I've known several people for a long time that were close to a Southern Israelite. Now, Southern Israelite is nowhere as well known as Jay Dyer is. So it would actually make better sense to talk about or to get some clout off of Jay Dyer's name than it would that other guy. But I've known quite a few people that were close to Southern Israelite for a while, on and off, and kind of still are loosely affiliated with him. And, it's interesting that they say almost the same thing about Jay Dyer as these guys that talk about him, that talk about the latter or the former. But anyways, yeah, it's just something to talk about. Anyways, I want to talk about Project 2025. And actually, I need to change this to crypto. So, before I go to Project 2025, I want to talk about some stuff about crypto. Now, Montagraph has said that he is a supposed expert on crypto. And according to him, he has found like a flaw or something in cryptocurrency. And he says that all the programming codes of crypto have the same exact programming flaw in the code. And he says that crypto is just sort of a beta test that was created by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers in terms of like an alternative for cash and stuff, in terms of actually taxing people's deposits and transactions and whatnot. And, you know, I'm not being hateful. This stream is not about bigotry. You know, I'm making a fact. I'm saying a fact. And I don't think it's hateful to have an opinion about things, okay? So this is not about bigotry and this is not about hate. And I fail to see how anything I've said has been hateful towards anyone, since we all bleed the same. But anyways, I don't know much about Montagraph, and I don't know if he's just a grifter, if he's a fake. He claims that he has doxed 300 something people. And the problem that I have with that is that that sounds very suspicious. Yeah, how would you be able to do that? You know, it just don't make much sense to me. But yeah, I have befriended some people that are relatively close to Jay Dyer, that are kind of in Jay Dyer's inner circle. I've known quite a few people for a long time that were in Southern Israelites' inner circle. And one of the things I found out is that he just hotkeys stuff on archive.org. And yeah, Jay Dyer is just the same as Southern Israelite. He's taken on this religion stuff, and he's found out a way to get views on his theology, which he just rips off from what was this guy that he rips off again? Hold on a second. Yeah, Big Daddy Eggs. Yeah, what's this guy's name? Daddy Longlegs. Okay. So Daddy Longlegs and Jay Dyer have been really close. And his wife was in Alex Jones's circle before she met up with him. And he says that Jay Dyer just steals from Perry Robinson's energeticprocession.com. So there's this Orthodox apologist called Perry Robinson. And this appears to be sort of the guy that Jay Dyer rips off. But I'll talk about that on another stream. And what's up, Rick Perry? Little Shimmy, just be on his high. Jimmy, just be on the high end. Just be on the high beat. Woo! What's up, man? How are you doing? Third for the second says, Montagraph seems sus. I don't know, dude. I don't know anything about this guy. Okay. Attack the message. Don't attack the messenger. The guy that you need to talk about when it comes to Montagraph is the Word of Truth, or Code of Truth. You need to go to Code of Truth's channel or to Omerta's channel and talk to him about it. Don't talk to me about it. I've only watched this guy for 2 months, okay? So don't attack me. Don't attack me. Go talk to Code of Truth about it. Go ask him about Montagraph. Rick Perry says, little Shimmy for president. Well, I'm just on the high GB. With little Shimmy, I'm just rhyming on the top. Just gangaroongan, ooga woogalin, all night long, just little shimmy's tongue. It's a parody, in case you don't understand. It's just a freaking irony. I know that a lot of people don't really understand the significance of irony and the humor that comes out of it. You would have to watch an old movie like Spaceballs. You'd have to watch something like Spaceballs to really get an idea of what a real parody is about. Or just any of the comedy movies of the 90s. So, I mean, people in the 1990s, people were a lot less stressed, a lot less people just laughed more in the 90s. And there was, Forrest Gump and Spaceballs and stuff were just stuff to laugh at. It was an innocent laugh. Nowadays, people are just a lot more serious and a lot more stressed and depressed and stuff. It's actually a very different climate after 9/11 compared to before 9/11. I don't know. I mean, let me tell you something. Before 9/11 happened, everything was really different. And I mean, even before 9/11, things were changing. The culture was changing around that time. But I noticed that there was a big change, especially around when 9/11 happened. And man, after 9/11, everyone stopped laughing and joking and kidding. And people got really stressed and really depressed and stuff. And that's when all the talk about mental illness started to really go up in the air. And people talk about mental illness and personality disorders and all of that stuff. It happened right about that time. And the entire culture began to reflect it too. The 2000s were just so depressing. Very different from the 90s, and especially the 80s. If you had ever been, I wasn't really around in the 80s. I was born at the tail end of the 80s, so I didn't really see what the 80s was like, but I've been told that they really lived it up. It was really lit. People just partying and having fun. And it's things today, it's just so different. Society now is so different from my childhood, and it's just really depressing. Nobody talked about mental illnesses when I was growing up. At least not until after 9/11 anyway. So, I feel sorry for you guys in your 20s because, this is the only thing that you've been alive to really see. And I understand that you're depressed about it too. I mean, I was really depressed in the mid 2000s. I mean, I was really depressed in the late 2000s, and I the mid 2000s. It was definitely 100% not like that before the mid 1990s. But yeah, stay blessed, not stressed. And if you watch, and if you just watch the movies from the time, if you watch the movies from 1990 to 2000, you begin to see the change. You do see the change, but compared to now, oh yeah, movies were way more positive. Kids would do anything to play a PlayStation 2 or an Xbox. Kids my age were so excited to play a video game console. And they loved it. And they enjoyed it. And it was fun. And it was something to do as an afterthought. And like nobody was addicted to playing video games or addicted to being online. That just simply was not a thing back then. 90s were positive times. The West won the Cold War and people were positive about the future. Absolutely, dude. Yes. That was my childhood. Well, that was my early childhood. And even for a time after 9/11, it was still very positive. Now it's like people want dictatorships, they want fascism. And, I'm starting to finally realize, well, maybe Bill Cooper said something right. I still have my pet peeves with Milton Cooper. I'm not saying that he was right about everything. There's this Zoomer guy, this kind of Soberman lookalike Zoomer called Frederick. He popped in here and he started accusing me of all this shit, being a typical brainless Zoomer about this and that accusation. And it's like, bitch, please. Bitch, please, man. Dude, Frederick, have you even been with a woman, Frederick? Like, have you even been with a woman, dude? Let me just ask you that, man. But anyways, he was accusing me of being a boomer truther bullshit. Because I thought that maybe Bill Cooper had said something right about the Patriot Act. And that's the main topic of my video that I want to talk about is Project 2025, and this is definitely something that is bad. And I always thought that it was going to be the left that were going to bring this country to shit. I always thought that it was going to be Obama and the left and the libs that were going to ruin America. And they almost did when Obama was president. The libs and the commies almost destroyed America, but no. No, America's still here. But I tell you what will ruin American democracy. I will tell you what will ruin it. It is this Project 2025 shit. I didn't know that, I had no idea that Donald Trump was pushing this. And this is something specifically that's being brought out by the Heritage Foundation. This isn't actually something that Donald Trump himself came up with or anybody in Donald Trump's circle, okay? This is from the Heritage Foundation, and it's called Project 2025. And I looked through some of this, and it just sounds like the coming dictatorship. It just sounds exactly like a dictatorship. It sounds just exactly like something that Hitler would have used in his manifesto on coming to power. This is a Mein Kampf for the 21st century. This truly is the quintessential horrible document. They want to make the president the most powerful and influential person in the entire country. They want to get rid of the checks and balances between the different branches of the government. And they want to make the executive, and specifically the head of the executive, an all-powerful Caesar, a dictator. They want to create a dictator. And it's just like when Napoleon dissolved the elected assembly of France. Napoleon stepped forward and he dissolved the assembly. If they did not dispel and go home, he brought in soldiers that were going to shoot at the assemblymen if they did not disperse and return home. And that was the end of the French democracy. Yeah, I guess you could say that Napoleon made France a great nation. I don't know why he had to cause Switzerland to fall into a civil war. Before the fucking French got into Switzerland, Switzerland had actually a very perfect political system. Maybe it wasn't the best, but it was a very good freaking political system. Switzerland had not had a war at that time for about 80 something years. And for the 18th century, that was a good time. That was a very long time. And after the Napoleonic Wars, Switzerland has never been involved in a foreign war. And they're a very peaceful and stable and very wealthy and opulent country. And Napoleon and the French basically caused Switzerland to have a civil war. They actually nearly caused Switzerland to have a civil war about 3 times. So the French, the stupid freaking frogs, meddled in Swiss affairs. So they're kind of almost no better than the Nazis in a way. At least back then, you know. Why did the French have to always freaking meddle in Switzerland's business? Okay? When only the Swiss people themselves know how to deal with and handle the circumstances that pertain to their region. Third for the second says, the Swiss seem better than France today. Yeah, of course, dude. Well, it's because they're a landlocked country, and they're in the Alps, and it's harder for migrants to go to a landlocked country than, say, a country that's open to the sea. It's just easier to reach a country that's connected to the sea than a landlocked country. Plus, I mean, Switzerland is very small. It's a very small country. The population is very tiny. It's very small. But they have a lot of millionaires, and a lot of millionaires live in Switzerland. Switzerland is a very friendly country for people to engage in business. It is one of the friendliest countries outside of the Far East in terms of business management, long-term business trust, business transactions, and just any kind of just exchange of resources, exchange of in tech, in finance, in tourism, and even cheese. The Swiss are world famous for their cheese products. But yeah, Switzerland, the Swiss are masters of doing business. But anyways, I'm really concerned about Project 2025. I don't really like this. This is actually, dude, this is the QAnon theory fulfilled. This is all of the stuff about the QAnon theory. And I guess the left are going to have their own QAnon theories or related theories about this too, considering how anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist the left tend to be. And I'm not saying that the right wing are not anti-Semitic, but I mean, if you just look at Labour in the UK, Labour in the UK is extremely anti-Israel and anti-Semitic. But anyways, yeah. The Heritage Foundation has been publishing new editions for its Mandate for Leadership series in schedules that run parallel to each presidential election since 1981. That's when Reagan was in office. He replaced Jimmy Carter. Heritage refers to its mandate as a policy Bible. I don't think there is nothing whatsoever Christian about this. This is a right-wing dictatorship. Just as Obama was a left-wing communist, Donald Trump is a right-wing fascist if he accepts this. So in April of 2023, the Heritage Foundation published the 920-page mandate written by hundreds of conservatives, most prominently former Trump administration officials. Nearly half of the project's collaborating organizations have received dark money contributions from a network of fundraising groups linked to Leonard Leo, a major conservative donor and key figure in guiding the selection of Trump's federal judge nominees. Axios reported that while Heritage has briefed other 2024 Republican presidential primaries candidates on the project, it is undeniably a Trump-driven operation. Yeah, dude, philosophical outlook. The long march of cultural Marxism through our institutions has come to pass. The federal government is a behemoth, weaponized against American citizens and conservative values. With freedom and liberty under siege as never before, Roberts interprets the phrase pursuit of happiness in the Declaration of Independence has pursuit of blessedness. According to him, an individual must be free to live as his Creator ordained, to flourish. Yeah, this is just rift with Enlightenment bullshit. The Constitution of the United States, he argues, grants us the liberty to do not what we want, but what we ought. You know, I have never seen a quote from a founding father that ever said that. And this is so undemocratic. Not what we want, but what we ought. What happened to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the Declaration of Independence? This is anti-constitutional. And I bet you if Bill Milton Cooper were here today, he would say the same thing. The Project 2025 Mandate for Fascism document outlines our four main aims. Restore the family as the centerpiece of American life. Dismantle the administrative state. Defend the nation's sovereignty and borders. And secure God-given individual rights to live freely. Well, yee-haw there, partner. Key to a good life is found primarily in family, marriage, children, Thanksgiving dinners, and the like, he writes. And above all, in religious devotion and spirituality. Oh, really? So you're telling me that the Puritans who thought that the Church of England was too Romish and too conservative, those people, those same people who created Thanksgiving, are you telling me that those brood of radicals who were so radical they were basically chased out of England for their radicalness, you're telling me that those people are traditional? Really? You're going to tell me that the Puritans, who were literally chased out of England for being too radical and not Christian in the minds of Anglicans, you're going to tell me that the Puritans were devotional and spiritual people? I call bullshit on that. Roberts complains that the United States in 2024 is a place where inflation is ravaging family budgets, drug overdose deaths continue to escalate, and children suffer the toxic normalization of, I'm not going to say that. I'll get a hate strike. I'll get a hate speech strike if I say any of that. And pornography invading their school libraries. Yeah, this is just basic QAnon retardedness. In a public statement, Roberts expresses concern over rampant crime in the United States. Yeah, and what good is limiting the budget of federal agencies like the FBI and the NSA or the CIA and federal police units and the Drug and Food Administration? What good does it do to take money out of those agencies that actually fight against crime and then say that something needs to be done to fight crime? Are you fucking for real? So Project 2025 is built on 4 pillars. A 30-chapter, 920-page book called Mandate for Leadership. The conservative, I call it the QAnon promise, which presents a neo-Dreyfus affair consensus view of how major federal agencies must be governed. Dreyfus affair. A personal database to be collected and shared with the president's elect's team, open to the public for transmissions. Yeah, you know what? When does democracy die? When does the Constitution die? And didn't Thomas Jefferson say, or wasn't it Ben Franklin that said that every so often the tree of liberty must be shed with the blood of tyrants? And that's something that Benjamin Franklin or Thomas Jefferson actually said. A personal database to be collected and shared with the president-elect's team. That's a police state. This is a freaking police state. An online educational system called the Presidential Administration Academy. Wow. What about homeschooling? What about just getting rid of the public education system entirely, since all it does is indoctrinate youths? A playbook designed for forming agency teams and drafting transition plans to move out upon the president's utterance of "so help me God." Yeah, this is fascism. This sounds like fascism, sir. While Project 2025 cannot be by law explicitly promote him, Trump's, dude, you even see here that by law, they cannot endorse a single candidate for the Republican Party. That's against the Constitution. They know it's against the Constitution, but they're still doing it. Trump's campaign rhetoric has reflected its broad themes. He stated, "If I happen to be president of Burgerland and I see somebody who's not eating that burger right well and good darn well, and biting me very badly, I say, go down yonder there, son, and endow them." He added that he would fire "damn radicalized Marxist prosecutors that are destroying my good old Burgerland. You Marxists ain't getting my burger. You're not going to get my burger today, mate. We're going to prosecute you Dreyfus style." He has said he would totally obliterate the deep state. I think that more like procuring the deep state and appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the United States of America, Joe Biden. Oh yeah, Joe Biden. The guy who can't even remember his last name unless he writes it on the back of his hand when he goes to a press conference because he is so. He's got old timers so bad. Yeah, that guy. That. What about Obama, dude? What about prosecuting Barack Obama for the Benghazi affair? You know, you remember Benghazi affair? The Benghazi affair, you know, how about prosecuting Barack Obama and George Bush Jr. for war crimes like the Benghazi affair? And the entire Biden crime family. What about the Clintons? What about the Clintons and their support for those radicals in Nicaragua? You know, what about the hush money schemes of Clinton? You know, what about Clinton's adultery in his second administration office? You know, really? You're just going to use Joe Biden as your Dreyfus candidate? Is he going to be your scapegoat? Well, Project 2025 cannot buy. Okay, I already read that. To be admitted to the presidential personal database, a potential recruit must answer a number of detailed questions pertaining to his or her ideologies. One question is, name one living public policy figure whom you greatly admire and why. Well, I'll tell you who I really admire, Lyndon LaRouche. You know, it's funny that in 1988, Lyndon LaRouche literally provided policies that could have actually resolved the public budget issues, that could have actually benefited and improved the lives of ordinary American citizens back then. Policies that could have actually worked. And you know what they said about it? You know what they said about Lyndon LaRouche when he talked about how bad and how quintessentially corrupt the Federal Reserve was? They called him a Adolf Hitler wannabe fascist dictator right-wing conspiracy theorist. Just because of that, he was called a right-wing conspiracy theorist. And this guy was a Democrat, by the way. Lyndon LaRouche was running on a primary of the Democrat Party, and he was still called a right-wing extremist. Well, what is this right here I'm looking at? What is this? What is this stuff? You know, if this was brought up on television on ABC in 1988, I couldn't begin to imagine how people would have responded to this and to Donald Trump and the Republicans. But now it just seems like people are going to accept a dictatorship. Just something else, dude. Census citizenship question. Oh, the project seeks to revive the Trump administration effort to include a question of whether an individual counted in the decennial U.S. Census is an American citizen. Doesn't that not sound like the Nuremberg race laws right there? We're going back to the Nuremberg race laws. The Aryan citizenship laws of the Third Reich. That is what this is coming out to me as being. The good old eugenics. Bring back them good old eugenics. The census population count is used to reapportion congressional seats in the Electoral College. Oh, wonder why? Because obviously we want our guy to be president. We want our guy to win. So let's manipulate democracy. Let's manipulate who can vote for our guy to get into office. Christian nationalism, Kulturkampf. Kulturkampf is the 19th century political conflict of Bismarck and the Catholic Church in the German Reich. Has the leader of the Center for Renewing Burgerland Project Build a Better Burger contributor Russell Vought has spearheaded an effort to instill precepts of burger land nationalism into burger land government and burger public life. Should Burgermeister Trump win a second Burgerland term? In a 2021 Burger Public piece, Vought wrote, Christian nationalism recognizes that America is a Christian nation, but makes a commitment to an institutional separation between church and state, but not the separation of Christianity from its influence on government and society. Do you not see the cognitive dissonance here? This is cognitive dissonance. You're saying that a commitment to the institutional separation between church and state, but not the separation. You can't have, dude, this is not a consistent argument. Okay, this is not a consistent argument. This lacks consistency. Either you're going to have a fully secular republic, or you're going to have a religious theocracy. You can't have just a 50-50 go-between. Are you going to be honest and consistent about wanting to have a theocracy? Or are you just going to make up numbers, make up these fake numbers, play this straw man, okay? This doesn't make any sense. All right, so Christians are under assault. And by Christians, they're mainly referring to Protestants, Protestant evangelicals. They're not really talking about Catholics or Orthodox. They're just mainly talking about Protestants, and only about Protestants, by the way. I just wanted to mention that. So Protestants are under assault, and he sought to use his regular Bilderberg contacts with Burgermeister Trump to elevate Burgerland nationalism as a focal point. Should Burgermeister Trump be reelected, the head of the Burgerland restaurant Grand Premium franchise for extra batter, extra fattening burgers. Vought has close ties with another former burger restaurant administration official, burger restaurant nationalist William Wolfe, who, on an online burger manifesto, seeks to implement a Bible-based Burgerland restaurant system of government whereby cheesy burger ordained civil Burgerland magistrates exercise authority over the Burgerland franchise and corporation. For Christian nationalist Brad Onishi, who now studies religion and extremism, noted in February 2024 that Lance Walnew of the New Apostolic Reformation has said Trump was anointed, had recently announced he was partnering with Charlie Kirk, a Project 2025 member. Onishi observed that Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has direct ties to the New Apostolic Reformation. So there's stuff about, and I do agree actually that climate change is mostly a farce of the left. I do personally agree that climate change is, for the most part, not real, and that a lot of this stuff about carbon emission, all of that is just scientific fraud and nonsense from the left. They purposefully use mixed up, flawed statistics to try to prove that climate change is real and it's not. Education and research, woke propaganda. So, do you believe in evolution? Do you believe in any sort of, I don't know, do you believe that viruses can have genetic mutations in which they can become immune to certain such and such injections? Do you believe that? Well, if you think that, then you might be a woke extremist. You might literally be a freaking woke extremist, and you might have to go to prison for a while. You might have to go to prison according to Burgerland, according to the Burgerland Bureau of Protective Burgerland Propaganda. Yeah, I'm so glad to live in a free country where I can eat my burgers, especially oversized and overfried. And I can always have that extra plate of fries on the side. You know, oh my goodness, dude. It's so awesome to live in Burgerland. Shit, I even had a troll that used to call himself Burger Boy. Nuclear policy, dude. Yeah, so basically, we're going through the same process of what happened in Putin's Russia and Xi Jinping's China. We got our own oligarchs, and before long, we're going to have our own populist dictator running this country to the ground in a bunch of ignorance with his neo-Dreyfus nonsense. Honestly, I always thought it was going to be the left. The libs and the commies that were going to bring America down. And I had good reason to believe that about 10 years ago. Well, I stand wrongly on that. Or at least I did back then. I was wrong. No, it's going to be the conservatives and the young earth creationists, the Ziotards. It's going to be the Zionist Christians, the Zio retards, and the QAnon people and the corporations that are actually going to bring this country into dictatorship. So, Bill Milton Cooper, and his Hour of the Time radio broadcast, when they passed the Patriot Act, actually, no, he was already dead before they did that. Bill Cooper predicted 9/11 and the passing of the Patriot Act. In 1999, Bill Cooper predicted the Patriot Act would be passed. And he said that that would be the death of the American democracy. That would be where the Constitution dies. Well, I would say that he was sort of right, but I'm going to say that it's not the Patriot Act that is going to kill the Constitution. It is going to be Project 2025. That is the paper that the American Constitution dies. And all the lives of every American GI that ever fought in World War II, and really just any war to protect American freedom and American liberty, those people, their lives were in vain. If this is going to be the future of America, If Project 2025 is going to be the future of America, then every American soldier from 1776 up until now that has died on the battlefield for the freedom and liberty of this country, their death was in vain. Every single GI, every single Minuteman, every single militiaman who died fighting for American freedom, or even for the freedom of Texas. You know what? All the soldiers that died at the Alamo, all of the Texas soldiers that died fighting for Texas, their deaths were in vain. If the American people are going to sit back and allow this dictatorship, this despotic tyranny to rise to power and take away their guns. And as soon as Donald Trump is in power and as soon as he is secure, you know what he's going to do? He's going to take the guns away from all of the American citizens that he doesn't think need them anymore. The government is going to take the guns away from the American people. And it's going to be a right-wing Republican dictator, neo-Caesar Bonapartist that is going to do it. In 1799, France became a despotic dictatorship. Napoleon Bonaparte dissolved the assembly. I would argue that it really was not an elected assembly of the people, but Napoleon dissolved the assembly and declared that he, in the name of the people, in the name of the army, was now the embodiment of France, and he would lead France by his own decree. In 50-something BC, Julius Caesar took power away from the Senate, and he did that in the name of the citizens of Rome. He usurped the power of the Senate and became dictator for life, using the army and using the ill-conceived masses, the stupid, bewildering masses, to become the dictator of Rome. That is what Julius Caesar did to the Romans, and he took away their freedoms. That is what Napoleon Bonaparte did to France, and he took away the freedoms of the French. Donald Trump is doing this right now. The Heritage Foundation is doing this right now. And American people, people of the state of Texas, people of the United States of America, your rights and your liberties are being taken away from you by Donald Trump, not by Barack Obama, not by Joe Biden. It is by a right-wing fascist dictator, and he is taking away your rights, and he is doing it right in front of you. Go look at the Wikipedia page, Project 2025. Go listen to Bill Milton Cooper's old broadcasts. Go listen to whatever sort of VHS recordings of Bill Milton Cooper talking about his prediction of 9/11 and the passage of the Patriot Act. Just go listen to that and you'll see exactly what I mean. Anyways, I'm done with my rant. I'm done with my angry so-called incel rant or whatever, even though most incels are actually QAnon, and I'm anti-QAnon and anti-Trump. But whatever. Quietly Judging You says, good morning, Imperator of Forge. Third for the second says, climate change seems just like the weather. It's a left-wing, lunatic, fringe little nonsense, dude. That nonsense is being pushed by the scientific establishment on fake science. It is fake, phony science out of Europe and out of China that is pushing that climate change bullshit. Complete, absolute nonsense. And you've got these retarded Zoomers like Greta Thunberg who will believe anything that these scientific boomers or millennials will tell her, because she's a Zoomer, and Zoomers will believe anything because Zoomers are gullible. They're a bunch of young, gullible people that were not properly educated because they always had their eyeballs glued to their cell phones, and they never knew how to, they don't know how to write out a paragraph, even if it killed them. They don't know how to take a pen or a pencil and write a single paragraph, even if it killed them. So you got those mind-controlled Zoomers, mind-controlled slaves out there, Zoomers and Alphas, more like Gen Beta. Generation Alpha, I say Generation Beta. And the same thing, too, with you bunch of Zoomers. You kids don't know anything, and you don't have any real lived experience on nothing. You don't even know how to brush your teeth, much less actually defend the rights of the U.S. American Constitution. But yeah, third for climate change is a scam that the scientific establishment has been lying to people's ears about, just like this QAnon nonsense that they've been trying to feed people with their fake controlled opposition, Zionist Christian controlled opposition groups that they've got going on here. Where is America? Where have the American people gone? Have the American people fallen asleep? Where are the American people? Where are the Texan people protesting this Project 2025? Why aren't the American people protesting this? Why aren't the Texan people protesting this? Why aren't people from Alaska protesting this? Why aren't people from Maine not protesting this? What about Massachusetts? What about Florida? What about New York? What about San Francisco? Where are the American people? Where are they not why are they not protesting this nonsense? Why are they been taken on board with this bullshit? Why have they been taken on by this Zionist evangelical Christian nonsense? Why do they want to go fight for a state that is several million kilometers away, a place that they have never been to in their lives, fighting for another country and another regime that does not have any fucking issue whatsoever to do with their livelihoods? Where are the American people not protesting this? Where are they at their senses yet? Come to your senses. Wake up and rise up and form a militia. Don't let them come and take your guns. You are the American citizens. Oh, they're saying that they're going to do it for the public safety of the population. You are the American population. Those are your rights that they are taken away, that are being taken away from you. Those are your rights and your constitutional obligations. You have an obligation to protect and uphold the Constitution. And if you do not uphold the Constitution, then you are derelict of duty. Every single policeman and every single military person that does not uphold and defend the American people and the Constitution from governmental tyranny is a derelict of duty. They are derelicts of public duty. I say, rise up and get rid of this would-be dictator. Get rid of this would-be dictator before he takes your guns and your Constitution with them away from you and puts you in a FEMA concentration camp. Americans, rise up. Stop being Americans. Stop being the parody of the world's laughter. Okay, Americans, stop fulfilling and stop following these stupid left-wing parodies that these Aussies make about you on their public television, and actually fight for freedom and liberty. Because if this is going to happen, then every single soldier and every single GI that ever fought for liberty and freedom, that ever died for freedom, their death was in vain. Because their descendants sold that freedom away and never fought for it. Crail says, 07. Rick Perry says that over the years, I have noticed the sun rising in a more northwesterly declination, setting in the southwest. The climate change fraud is probably taking advantage of the precession of the equinox, northeasterly. You know, that's actually a possibility. I mean, considering that all of these groups are run by people that follow the Kabbalah. Oh yeah, you didn't know that? You didn't know that these elites all follow Kabbalah and go to a Freemasonic lodge and are in secret societies and follow nightly orders and stuff. You didn't know that? Well, now you do. Like, all of the world leaders are involved in the occult, including these climate change people. Third for the second says, freedom ain't free. Well, I mean, you're not wrong, but, you know, nothing is going to change. I gotta say, dude, I don't know what my future in this country holds. Like, I might have to leave. I might have to actually leave and go to a place where my rights will be protected by the government and not taken away because of some, I don't know, some crazy conspiracy or something made up and contrived by a bunch of Freemasons. But yeah, I don't know what the future holds, but I used to think that Barack Obama was going to be the guy that was going to overthrow the Constitution. And he actually kind of did, but no. It's going to be Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the man that will take away the guns from the American citizens and all of their liberties and constitutions. Donald Trump and his son Barron Trump are the ones that will create the first imperial dynasty of this new project. Barron Trump, as you can see in the video by Sargon of Akkad, is going to become the Octavian Caesar of the American system. Our Constitution and our rights and liberties are at stake. The American people should rise up and stop this British, Anglo-funded, Vatican-funded, Freemasonic, occultist project from taking away the individual rights and freedoms of the American people from pushing Americans against each other because of some bullshit QAnon conspiracy. Rick Perry says, I started to recover from my grieving period in autumn of 2023. I remember it distinctly as a summer climate. It seems to me that summer is starting and ending later, autumn's now being the sweet spot. I remember you telling me that you were in the September of your life, whatever that means. So, does that mean that in your 50s you're going to be in the October of your life? I'm not totally for sure what you meant by that. But yeah, I mean, I've kind of noticed that too. What did you think about, oh yeah, you're in Europe, you're not in North America. I was going to say, what did you think about the lunar eclipse? But yeah. Project 2025 is based. Oh, really? So you think that QAnon is based as well? Considering that most of these guys are also, dude, do you not realize what they would do to you, autistic neat gamer? They would sterilize you. And probably me, you fool. Autistic neat gamer. These people, if they had their way, they would sterilize you and keep you from being able to have any children. Do you still want to support that? It's okay. Well, the same people that supported QAnon are the same people that support Project 2025. It's the same exact people, autistic neat gamer. They will keep you from having kids. They're going to you don't want to support Project 2025, bro. Those aren't the sort of guys that you want to support. They are QAnon, okay? It's the same thing. The guys that supported the January 6th, 2021 protest or 2020 protest are the same guys that are supporting Project 2025. It's the same people, dude. The QAnons and the Project 2025ers are the same people. 3-4 the second says, Neats, rise up! You know, honestly, I would like to see that. I mean, I know it would be controlled by the fascists and the Freemasons and the Zionists and the Vatican and the Jesuits and stuff. I know that it would just be a controlled opposition, but I kind of wonder what it would be like if incels or neets would actually rise up and have their own movement. It's not going to happen, but that would be interesting. QAnon is cringe. Oh, so are you a lib now, autistic neat gamer? You just said that Project 2025 is based. So are you a liberal now, autistic neat gamer? I thought you were a based Christian. I thought you were like a based Catholic Christian MAGA hat wearer like Nick Fuentes. Warhammer Libtard Arc. September of my years equals old man. It's a Frank Sinatra song. Oh yeah, I forgot that you were a big fan of Frank Sinatra. I always thought that boomers were actually the big fans of Sinatra. Total Janny Dev says, Hard man! Hard men hype. Autistic Neat Gaming says, I'm right-wing. Well, I mean, I'm right-wing as well, but I'm not going to support a government that's going to sterilize me. because of how I was born, I'm not going to support that shit. Okay, dude? I'm not about to let somebody take away my guns and try to sterilize me. Libtards exposed. No, Project 2025 is Trump's cabinet, not QAnon boomer schizos. Donald Trump is a boomer, autistic neat gamer. The QAnon crowd and the Project 2025 are the same thing. It's the same people. It has the exact same people in it. And I'll show you. It's on the Wikipedia Project 2025 page. It's on the Project 2025 Wikipedia page. Okay. These people are a bunch of fascists. These people are fascists, and they're going to try to take away American rights and liberties from the people. There you go, right there. There's your QAnon. A Trump supporter carries a QAnon-clad placard with Jesus wearing a MAGA hat at the moment the U.S. Congress was violently attacked by rioters on January 6, 2021. The placard reads "blurred for reasons of copyright." And this is on the Project 2025 Wikipedia. So I don't know how delusional you would have to be to think that those two things are not mutually connected. I am not a Nick Fuentes fan. Well, neither am I. I absolutely can't stand that piece of shit. That guy with his little cat boys, his little cat boy capos, and him, they're watching anime, dude. I could imagine like Nick Fuentes just watching a bunch of fucking anime, trying to say that anime is fascist and based and all this crazy shit. And he's a Mexican dude. He's a fucking Mexican. He's a Mexican that wants to be a white guy, and he's a Mexican that hates his own race. He's a self-hating Mexican. And it's so funny. And I got to be careful because of hate speech shit. I don't know. I hate him. Rick Perry says, my generation had Harry Connick Jr. to carry the Sinatra torch. Dude. Even your generation, dude, even you Xers had artists and stuff. Like us millennials, we don't have none of that shit. Like millennials have, I don't know, Eminem. Like millennials have Eminem. You know, like, dude, us millennials, we have nothing, man. Oh, so you're going to use a straw man argument and a bear. Oh, so now you're going to resort to using a straw man argument, Autistic Neat Gaming. At Rick Perry, cry harder, boy. Happy 4th of July. Well, if America doesn't turn into a QAnon right-wing Zionist fucking right-wing fascist dictatorship, Rick Perry shows a question mark. Total Janny Def says America's free. America is not a free country, dude. Burgerland is a restaurant chain that is owned by Fat Boy Trump. Fat Boy Trump is your commander-in-chief. Third 4 of the second says, the 4th of July. Total Janny Def says because you're British, no. Um, I think Rick Perry is Celtic. I'm not for sure, but he said that he's Celtic. Rick Perry says, I am not an Anglophile. The British Union of 1707 is anathema to me. Well, there you go. Rick Perry is not an Anglophile. Autistic Neat Gaming says, I am married to Funko Pop at Imperator Forge. How can you be married to an inanimate object? Like, dude, have you been reading some Plotinus? Have you been reading some Plotinus, Autistic Neat Gamer? Anime is based. Yeah, they're drawings made by Asians. You say that I'm a libtard, but you want to, like, marry an Asian cartoon character. Like, what's up with that, dude? I don't know what even means. I don't know what that even means. LOL. Happy 4th anyway. Yeah, Rick Perry is spiritually American. Rick Perry is spiritually an American. He's British physically, but spiritually he is American. He hates the British Empire and the monarchy, or the aristocracy. Being Catholic is essentially incompatible with Anglo allegiance. Well, there you go. He is Catholic and he is not an Anglophile. Zoomers get the best Nazi black metal, so I'm happy with my generational placement. Well, good for you, man. I mean, you guys don't even know how to write a paragraph, much less how to, like, even write a PDF file, or, like, how to write a dissertation note. But okay. But I don't see how Zoomers have the best black metal. Conic Jr., early 90s, big band jazz, throwing back to the 40s. Cool, man. I'm a fan of the 90s. You know, I grew up in the 1990s. I miss it. I mean, the 90s was cringe sometimes, but it was my time, dude. The roots of black metal is Satanism, though. Total Jenny Def says, yeah, it's kind of satanic, but it sounds great. Dude, imagine calling yourself a Christian and saying that. Autistic Neat Gaming says, that's why it's good at Rick Perry. Total Jenny Def says, LOL. Rick Perry says, I'm Anglo by race, but Catholic by faith. Therefore, I have more in common with the Irish and Continentals. Well, I don't think that all the Irish and Continentals are Roman Catholic, though. Like, the Dutch are Protestant. The North Germans and the Scandinavians are Protestant. Autistic Neat Gaming says, Japan is inherently right-wing. Dude, Japan has some of the most left, liberal-leaning media in all of Asia, dude. In fact, Hong Kong probably has less liberal media than Japan does. If you want to talk about a really strong right-wing government in Asia, look at South Korea. South Korea is probably a very strong right-wing country, simply because they are so adjacent to a neo-Stalinist country, which is North Korea. But Japan is actually not a right-wing country. Japan has probably one of the most progressive parties in all of East Asia. In fact, Japan is actually home to the largest communist membership of any non-communist country outside of the third world. Of any developed first world country, Japan actually has the largest membership to the Communist Party. Autistic Neat Gaming says, I'm not a Christian. Rick Perry says, classic metal of the 80s and the thrash metal of the late 80s, early 90s wasn't satanic. I don't know, dude. I'm pretty sure that some of it was connected to the occult. Black Sabbath was in the 80s, like Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath was dark metal in the 80s, and they were definitely satanic. Dude, I'm so glad, Total Jenny Death, that you like some Texas metal. You know, I don't know why it is that people always associate my state with fucking cowboys and hamburgers and all this cringe shit and like some fucking stupid trailer park music when we have Pantera. Pantera is from Texas. Pantera is from fucking Texas, dude. And yes, it is good as fuck, bro. Absolutely. Autistic Neat Gaming says the soul of Nippon is right wing. Koreans have no culture. Okay, bro. Rest in peace, Dimebag. The Japanese can be right-wingu over there away from me. Yeah, dude. Honestly, man, these weeaboo types, these fucking weeaboos are so cringe, dude. Like the Daimyo and Axel was a weeaboo. You know, DJ Axel was a weeaboo, bro. And that guy was a piece of fucking shit. I don't care. Like, I don't like furries or any of those pieces of shit. Like, Axel is a pedophile. Axel is a child predator, and he was into anime and shit like that too. And another thing too, like, if you got, I don't know if you guys remember that, what was her name? Maddie Cat. Maddie Cat was a weeaboo. Third for the second says Communist Party of Japan is like Japan's third largest party. That is actually true. They are. But it's actually the Democrats. It's actually the far right Democrats, and that was actually Shinzo Abe's party. But the Democrats are currently the largest, followed by the Liberals, the Liberal Center, something like that, and then the Communist. Yeah, that doesn't make the country left-wing. They may have little power. I don't think that Japan really follows the West's right-wing, left-wing dichotomy. Japan's a Buddhist culture. They don't really follow that sort of Western Occidental right-wing, left-wing dichotomy. Rick Perry says that Pantera was okay. Bit late for me. Metal ended in 91 to 93 for me. That's kind of early, actually, to want to, like, not listen to metal, dude. But yeah, the late 1980s was like the golden age of metal bands. That's probably when it thrived the most. Black Sabbath was 60s and 70s. Yes, and they were the first major occult. They were the first major metal band to really be heavily invested in Satanism. Most of it, though, was just symbolism and stuff. They didn't really literally believe in the occult. It was mainly just a symbolism to kind of just get attention from people. Autistic Neat Gaming says, "You are trash. Weebs are the best." Oh, really? So you're saying that DJ Axel is cool? You're actually saying that a Norwegian pedophile is the best, dude. Sabbath 70s hard rock and 80s metal was tongue in cheek. There weren't many genuinely satanic bands, if any. Yeah, I trust Rick Perry to know his stuff. He's been around the block. I call Sabbath doom metal kind of created. Black Sabbath and Doom kind of created metal. Yeah, Black Sabbath is actually hard rock. Dude, you're not a weed, dude. You're not an otaku. Yeah, you might be a cringe weeaboo, but you're not a real otaku, dude. You don't even know what a real otaku is, bro. I was around. Let me tell you something. I was around when Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z were premiering on Toonami. I saw that. I was there. You weren't even on the face of the earth, dude. You weren't even a perverted thought in your dad's ball sack when I was watching that stuff on Toonami, bro. You don't know anything about otakus, and you don't know anything about true classic anime. If you have Cartoon Network on your television, you need to watch Toonami Reboot or Toonami Rewind, because that is like the only thing I would literally watch on Cartoon Network today. But no, you kids, you got Adventure Time, which is like got Down syndrome. That shit was made by people with Down syndrome. That shit sucks ass, bro. No, I'm the real classic otaku, and you're just a fake. Okay, you're a Johnny come lately and you don't know shit about real classic anime. You think that, oh, Adventure Time is a wonderful anime. Adventure Time is not even an anime, you fucking retard. Adventure Time is a Western cartoon, dumbass. Bobby F. Axel called the police on you. I don't care. Let him. He's a child predator and he wants to molest and harm children. You can clip it and tell him I said it. Axel is proof of the weeb to pedophile pipeline. Yes, I would agree with that. That's why I stopped watching anime. Like classic anime, the anime of my generation was fine. It didn't have like little children in dresses or whatever. They weren't doing that back then, but they sure are now. Like there's a lot of pedophile stuff in anime today. There wasn't when I was watching it, but there is now. Ozzy did kill that bat on stage, though. That wasn't fake. IMAO. I don't know what you mean, Total Janny Death. When did this happen? Was this on a live event? Was this a live event or what? Doom Downer Rock was a subgenre of hard rock. Hard rock came in off the back of the British blues explosion. Ted Zeppelin, 1970, saw Deep Purple in Rock album, and the eponymous eponymous Black Sabbath debut. Oh, so cool, man. Sailor Moon is not a tranny anime. Dude, Sailor Moon was before all that weird shit started happening. That was before they started to do the octopus in the vagina shit. That stuff was later. Artistic Neat Gaming says DBZ is trash and you have bad taste. Dude, when we were growing up and watching that on Toonami, we had no idea that we didn't even know that that was from Japan. As far as we knew, that was the language that they used. And yeah, I would agree that the dub is pretty bad now. Like the dubs that they used back then was pretty cheesy, but I mean, dude, now you have to watch like the woke stuff. Like, dude, you're the one that has to deal with the fucking woke shit that they write into anime that's not there. So I might have had to have watched some rather bad dubs back in the day, but I didn't have to watch any of that woke stuff that they put into modern anime. So that's your gig, Autistic Neat Gaming. Weebs and otakus are no better than trans. Dude, old school otakus were awesome. You don't know anything about, you're a Zoomer, Total Janny Death. You don't know anything about like the very first original otakus and how absolutely based and awesome they were. They were following Bushido and they tried to learn the language. They actually went to Japan and they tried to learn Japanese. There's actually some people on Kanzenshu. The people I'm talking about are like people that are my age or even older than me. And they're like on Kanzenshu. They actually went and spent years in the country. They actually learned Japanese, okay? This faker right here does not know a single word of Japanese, and he doesn't know how to write in katakana or hiragana. This guy just watches like some fake ass woke shit, and he thinks that he's a weeb. The weeaboos and the otakus of my generation went to Japan and learned the language and actually tried to make effort in trying to actually learn and respect the culture. This guy's generation, on the other hand, are the ones that you're talking about. No personality at all and smelly as hell. Yeah, I mean, but that's just Zoomers in general, right? That's Zoomers don't even have to be weebs or otakus to be exactly what you're saying that Zoomers are. The tritons and augmented fourths, devil's intervals of Sabbath, combined with the heaviness of the British blues explosion, blues blended with psychedelia moving into hard rock, and the chromatic progressions of punk were the components that formed 80s heavy metal. Third Force says SpongeBob is the only good anime. Well, I mean, that's your opinion, dude. That's a Western cartoon that has nothing to do with the franchise. But I've heard that a lot of Japanese like SpongeBob, so that's cool. Yeah, believe it or not, Japanese watch American and Western cartoons. And they actually take inspiration from our cartoons as well. But you guys want to like have a foreign cultural imperialism over our society. And you freaking guys are traitors. Autistic Neat Gaming says that is a straw man. I never said Adventure Time is an anime. Yeah, well, you might as well probably would think that Adventure Time is an anime. You Zoomers have no taste, I gotta say. Zoomers are Coomers. All Zoomers are Coomers. The chromatic progressions of punk were the components that formed 80s heavy metal. Dude, I freaking love some of those old bands, Rick Perry. Pantera, I don't think Pantera is the best. They're good, but they're not the best. They're not the best in the business, bro. Fake Zoomer or Coomer, fake Zoomer Coomer guy here says octopus is the best part. Yeah, dude, and that was also in my generation, not yours, bro. Don't forget, Autistic Neat Gaming, Evangelion was made when I was growing up in 1995. Evangelion was made for millennials. It was not intended for Zoomers. You guys weren't even born when Evangelion was animated by Gainax, dude. That's a millennial anime. Okay? And even Ryan Falk, dude, for all the cringe and for all the stuff about Ryan Falk, at least he's a millennial. And he knows. Ryan Falk will say that Evangelion was for millennials only. Third for the second says anime has gone woke. Yeah, especially when Studio Ghibli tried to make that horrible 3 CGI. Do you remember that awful CGI movie that Studio Ghibli tried to make? What was it called? Oh yeah, that what was that Mercury, that Gundam Mercury thing? That is the definition of woke. Yes, anime can be woke. Earring and the Witch. Yeah, that's it. Earring and the Witch. That shit is fucking woke as fuck, dude. That shit is woke as fuck, man. No, he's not making that up, dude. Anime has gone woke, bro. Okay. You were born too late to really get to enjoy the real otaku stuff, bro. You were born too late. You were born in like 2008, 2009, bro, and you have no idea how awesome stuff was in my day. I got the best shit, bro, and you gotta own up to it, man. You just gotta own up to it. Third four is not making that up. That stuff is woke. Third for the second. Dude, Popeye is the greatest cartoon of all time. Don't you know? Popeye was the greatest cartoon, the most masculine cartoon of all time, bro. And Indiana Jones is the best movie of all time. Indiana Jones is the most freaking macho movie hero of all time. Let's see here. Total Janny Death, call in a debate anime at Autistic Neat Gaming. Debate me, bitch. I'll tell you how Sailor Moon in the 1990s is better, was so much better compared to the shit that y'all have now. You Zoomers fucking think that Adventure Time is an anime, bro. Total Janny Dev says, I get a Zoomer pass though, right? I'm not a Coomer, dude. You're a Coomer. When I say that all Zoomers are Coomers, I mean you as well. You're a Coomer. If you're a Zoomer, you're a Coomer because all Zoomers are Coomers and no Zoomer gets a pass. You don't get a Coomer pass, bro. You're a Coomer too. Total Jenny Depp says Spirited Away. No, Spirited Away was okay. I mean, it's a I mean, it was obviously targeted to a female audience. Like, I wouldn't have watched it myself. I mean, that's for girls, dude. Spirited Away is for women, dude. That's a female show. I wouldn't watch that. That would be cringe, but I don't think it's woke. Autistic Neat Gaming says Evangelion is only for Zoomers. Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, they fucking dress like Zoomers. They have cell phones. They clearly have cell phones. I mean, after all, when you watch the first episode, you can clearly see Azuka having her little Zoomer cell phone on hand. Dude, like, you're cringe, bro. Yeah, I can see Azuka and Shinichi with their Zoomer cell phones, bro. Get over yourself, man. That's clearly an anime that was intended for a millennial audience. It's made in 1995. You were like born in 2015, bro. Third for the second says CGI just sucks. I know, bro. I actually agree. Well, bro, no, not with video games. With video games, CGI rocks. With cartoons, it sucks. That's why Frozen is for femmies. Frozen is for trannies and femboys. Well, not femboys, but just Rick Perry. Okay, it's not for Rick Perry. It's just for left-wing woke people. Third for the second says it's real. The One Piece is real. Rick Perry says, I grew up watching the 70s anime Battle of the Planets. Gotcha, man. Did you watch Doraemon, Rick Perry? Because that anime got its start in the 70s. But dude, how in the world did you even watch anime subtitled in the 70s? I mean, it would have had to have been dubbed because nobody was studying Japanese just to watch anime back then. Total Janny Coomer says, up yours, pal. Okay, whatever. Autistic Neat Coomer says, academic agent talked about tomboys. What about them? Like, what does this have at all to do with anime? Especially Neon Genesis Evangelion, which was obviously made for millennials. Total Jenny Coomer says, you want to lie about me and slander my good Coomer. My good name. Good day, sir. Okay, bro. Well, you're still a Coomer. And every Zoomer is a Coomer. Third for the second says, debate or Warhammer 1. Well, there you go. Autistic Neat Coomer is not going to debate me. He's probably jacking off to a picture of Azuka right now on DeviantArt and can't be bothered to debate. He's too busy mentally masturbating. Autistic mental masturbator says, "Why are you LARPing? Has you have never even watched Evangelion?" I've watched some of it. I just haven't watched enough to really have an opinion. I don't like to talk about stuff that I haven't really formed a fixed opinion on. All right. Total Jenny Depp says, "You're a millennial. You're shit at video games." Yes, all millennials. I beat Deus Ex, retard. What are you talking about? I beat Deus Ex. You coomer. You're Generation Coomer, dude. You don't know anything about real games. You don't even know what Deus Ex is, dude. Try playing Deus Ex. Now that is a real masterpiece. Deus Ex is so freaking awesome. It is just so freaking awesome, dude. Yeah, bro. You don't know what you've missed out on. Your understanding of video games is about the same as Soberman's. Fortnite. That's all you Coomers know is Fortnite. Rick Perry says Battle of the Planets was dubbed and syndicated in the US and UK. Okay. Well, then I imagine it probably did not retain a lot of its Japanese cultural themes, then. High quality Jap export cartoon. Yeah, dude, I mean, when I was growing up, Japanese animation was considered a kind of something akin to being like a foreign something that was a foreign import until Pokemon got off. Like nobody really talked about anime much. It was seen as exotic. Like it was interesting, it was foreign and exotic, but nobody tried to say or tried to like relate to being an anime character. That only happened when Pokemon got big. Pokemon was the game changer of really making Japanese culture very highly popular, whereas before it was just seen as a foreign importation. Ulysses 31 was another good example. Yeah, I watched some of that a long time ago. Really good quality. And we got Total Coomer over here. I am totally cooming over here saying, you beat a single player game. Yeah. And what did you have? And who did you have sex with? Total Coomer? Total Coomer? Have you ever had sex with a real woman, bro? Have you ever had real sex with a woman, Total Janny Coomer? Or did you just jerk off to a toy, bro? You fake piece of shit, man. All Zoomers are Coomers. Autistic Coomer Doomer says, you beat it on easy mode at Imperator Reforge. Can you prove it? Where's the steel to prove it, bro? Do you have the clip that I had it being played on easy mode? Total Janny Cooming says, I am totally cooming in my pants, says, Deus Ex is luck based. Bruh. You just said that I beat a single player game, and now you're coping by saying it's just luck based, bruh. You don't know nothing about Deus Ex. You don't know nothing about the Deus Ex franchise. And you don't know anything about immersive sims, bro. Because you were born in like 2012. Okay? your generation is like you don't know anything before 2010. You definitely don't know anything that happened before 2008. You have no recollected memories that are decades in expanse. I have walked the earth for almost 4 decades, bro. I just know more than you, man. Okay. Dude, you were in preschool. Bro, you were in preschool when I was in my mid 20s. When I was in my mid 20s, bro, you were in preschool. There's nothing that you can say that I really give a shit about. Third for the second says Evangelion is the FIFA of anime overrate and it sucks. You know, honestly, I would agree. I almost want to agree third for, but it is true that I have not watched all of Neon Genesis Evangelion. I only watched a couple of episodes a long time ago. Um, I did try to watch it subbed, but the first episode is over an hour long, and I just didn't have the patience for it. I just didn't have the patience. I did not have the patience to watch all of it. But I think you're right, third for. And as soon as I do watch Evangelion, I'm probably going to agree with you, but until then, I'm going to sit on the fence and give it a benefit of the doubt. Simply because, and Autistic Neat Coomer knows this, Evangelion was made with the intention to entertain my generation and not his. And when Evangelion, like all good anime, was made, it was made when millennials were growing up, just like Pokemon. Pokemon and Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh was intended for millennials. It was never intended for Coomers, because all Zoomers are Coomers. He beat it on hard mode. The Coomer here says Fortnite is the most based game ever. Dude, have you even played Deus Ex? Dude, you don't know what you missed out on, bro. You only know the stupid games that suck from the 2010s, bro. Bro, don't you know that every game that was made after 2014, 2015 is terrible? And that since 2016, there has been nothing worthy or even worth remotely trying to watch or trying to remotely try to find as entertaining, dude. We have been in full-on nihilism since 2016, Coomer boy. You are a Coomer because you are a Zoomer, and all Zoomers are Coomers. What's your favorite game? I really enjoyed growing up with Jack and Daxter and Spyro the Dragon. For me, my childhood will always be defined by Super Mario World and Spyro the Dragon. That will always define my childhood because I was almost 10 years old when the first PlayStation came out. In fact, I was 11 when Spyro the Dragon came out in 1998. I was around 11. So I have all the best memories, and you don't because you're a Coomer. You don't know what being based is because you didn't live in a time when pop culture was actually worth watching or worth its salt. You don't know what early 2000s gaming was like. Total Coomer says, LMAO, I'm not that young. I've been playing video games over 20 years. Yeah, dude, you're young. You're a young sibling, dude. When I was in my mid 20s, you were probably in preschool. Definitely when I was 20, you were probably not even born, bro. When I was 20 something years old, you probably weren't even born. Yu-Gi-Oh anime was simply epic. You actually have some of the same tastes that I have in anime 3-4. Yeah, I mean, are you talking about the 2001 Yu-Gi-Oh anime or the 1998 anime? The 1998 Yu-Gi-Oh anime was not really about dual monsters, whereas the 2001 Yu-Gi-Oh remake was more about dual monsters. So I'm not sure which Yu-Gi-Oh you're talking about. There was actually two different Yu-Gi-Oh animes. Yeah, dude, this is the epitome of retardation. Deus Ex is better than Fortnite. And you don't even have to be in my age group to know that. You could be a Coomer, you could be of the Cooming generation, you could be the Doomer postmodern Coomer duper scooper generation and still agree that Deus Ex is better than Fortnite. Dude, Fortnite is dumb. I'm so glad I've never even seen what Fortnite looks like because I just know by the name and the title that it's stupid. Fortnite is gay. Fortnite is gay. Fortnite is dumb. And Fortnite is for coomers and losers. Only losers play Fortnite, buddy. Only losers play Fortnite. Oh, Deus Ex is probably, at least it's the best immersive sim ever. Deus Ex 2000 is the best immersive sim ever made, bro. I don't know if I would say it's the greatest video game ever. There's actually people that say that Deus Ex is the greatest game of all time. I'm kind of sitting on the fence with that right now, but I really loved it. I enjoyed it, bro. Deus Ex would have been the sort of game that I would have really enjoyed back in the day. It would have been so much fun to play. At Imperator Forge. What about it, Coomer? Total Coomer, I am a total Coomer says Base Jack and Daxter was one of my first games. Huh, well then maybe you are a little bit older. I don't know, dude. When Jack and Daxter came out, I was like 15. I was already like a teenager. I was already in my mid-teens when Jack and Daxter came out. So it wasn't exactly my first console game. Ryan Falk said that Fortnite is based. No, he didn't, bro. You're lying. You made that up. I know. I definitely know that Ryan Falk did not say that. You're just making that up. Fortnite is shit. Apex is far better for that Janir, which is a Salt Janir TBF. Now, Total Jenny Death, I do agree with you on that, actually. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I've never played those shitty games, dude. Unfortunately, you guys just your generation, you never got to have good taste of game simulators. And I feel sorry for you guys, but like by the time that you came of age, games were getting woke and stuff, and like I got to grow up and I got to enjoy playing video games at a time when they were not going woke and they were also not shit made. Like you have to understand that you had to make really good games. And even if your game was very popular and the brand was very popular, you still probably would not make much out of it. Like, the video game market back then was really challenging and really competitive. And just the quality of games had to be worth their salt. If it wasn't, they wouldn't be sold. And there was crappy games. I mean, just look at IVGN, the AVGN, the Angry Video Game Nerd guy. He talks about that. So I mean, games are better made, but the quality, of there's something that good graphics and good game mechanics do not deliver a good, excellent, well-made game. It takes a lot of taste and a lot of good quality to make a good game or a good movie. Let's see here. Total Jenny Def says that I was playing older consoles as a kid. My first consoles were Sega Genesis and PlayStation 1. Okay, yeah, those are the games that I grew up with as a kid. Um when I was 5 or 4, I played an original Nintendo. I actually broke my older brother's Nintendo, and I hate that I did that, but they shouldn't have let me play with the Nintendo. But yeah, when I was growing up, we had an original Nintendo, and that was the only game console in the house. And then my brother got the Super Nintendo, or we bought the Super Nintendo, and that was my favorite gaming system when I was a kid. My first consoles were Sega Genesis and the PS1. They were a bit dated at the time, but we were poor AF. Well, dude, I mean, respect, bro. The Sega Genesis and the PlayStation 1 were brand new when I was like 10 years old. The PlayStation 1 came out when I was about 10, and the Sega, you're talking about the Sega Genesis or the Sega Saturn? The Sega Genesis came out in about 1990, so yeah, I was not that old. So it would have been when I was younger. Um Yeah, I'm not going to read your comments anymore, Autistic Meat Coomer. Your Autistic Coomer Doomer Zoomer. This is proof right here in and of itself that all Zoomers are Coomers. Rick Perry says that modern games are made by a committee. Older games were made by small teams and didn't cater to the lowest common denominator. Yeah, you see, kids, you don't know what you missed out on. Deus Ex 2000 is awesome. Um, there was even there's Myst. That's it, Myst. There is this series of like computer PC puzzle games called Myst. And even the 1990s Dune games were pretty good too. I remember a friend of mine in middle school, that played 1991 Dune. Um, he was older than I was, but he played Dune. Let's see here. Bannerlord is trad and based in new. Bannerlord is trad and based in new. Well, I would have to look at it. You know, it's interesting that retro games have become very popular as of late. I've noticed that there is a growing interest in retro gaming, and a lot of new games are actually made with older graphics, or like more retro graphics, or just older graphics in general. In fact, The Atari has recently, the Atari 2600 is recently, oh shit, it's Lance. That's Lance Satir. Dude, you're not a good Russian, are you? Like, because that's cringe, bro. You're a Z Russian, right, bro? I mean, you're a Z, right? I mean, I'm not saying that you should agree with everything that Putin says, but I don't know, dude. Like these people that like the Ukraine are also saying that gender theory, queer theory needs to be exported to Ukraine, and I just think that's sus, dude. I mean, America is exporting bad values to other countries in regards to gender and sex identity, and it's just cringe, dude. Total Jenny Deaf says Bannerlord is a full medieval war simulator, very immersive. Awesome, bro. Um, but yeah, all Zoomers are Coomers. Zoomers are Coomers. Basic hack and slash pseudo RPGs like Blader's Gate, Dark Alliance on PS2 had great atmosphere. Yeah, I would agree, bro. Have you ever played that game called Thief: The Dark Game for PS1? It's called Thief: The Dark Game. I want to play that at some point. I want to play Thief: The Dark Game. You need to. Okay, it's called Thief: The Dark Project, and it's a first-person stealth video game. Dark Alliance on PS2 was one of my mom's favorites. Yeah, bro. I mean, honestly, like, dude, Fortnite is gay. Fortnite is dumb. Fortnite is for dumb people, bro. No Fortnite. I am the anti-Fortnite channel. I am anti-Fortnite. And I say, if I were the dictator of North America, if I was dictator, I would make Fortnite illegal for life. Fortnite would be banned in my country. Fortnite would be banned for eternity. No more Fortnite, Zoomers. No more gay. No more sus night. Okay. No more sus night for Soberman. You know what, Soberman? I am unplugging your game and I'm taking that freaking Fortnite disc and I'm going to break it in front of you, Sobertard, Soberchew. No more Fortnite for Soberman, bro. No more Fortnite. Fortnite sucks. And only Coomers play Sus Night. Only Coomers play Sus Night, bro. Total Jenny Dev says, are you a fan of stealth-based games? Well, I mean, I just finished Deus Ex. I just finished playing Deus Ex a few days ago, so yes, obviously. Rick Perry says, the song in the Elf Song Tavern sung by the spectral elf that haunted it is beautiful. Baldur's Gate DA. Oh, hey, what's up, Code of Truth? Hey, Code of Truth, you agree that Fortnite is sus, bro? Can we agree that, like, all Zoomers are Coomers and Fortnite is dumb? Can we agree that Fortnite is dumb, bro? And, although I'm still on the fence, can we agree that Evangelion is not the best anime ever? Can we agree that Neon Genesis Evangelion is probably not the greatest anime? But it was made for millennials, right? Evangelion was made for millennials and not for coomers. Okay, well, there you go. Code of Truth says Fortnite is complete sus. All Z's are C's. Well, there you go, Autistic Coomer! Autistic Coomer! You lose again! I don't watch anime, so in my opinion, it wouldn't matter. Well, dude, I don't really care to watch it. I mean, if I was younger, I'd probably watch it, but I don't really watch that kind of stuff anymore, dude. It's not really good for a guy in his late 30s, early 40s almost to be watching anime. It just looks kind of sus. Total Janny Depp says, I watched Evangelion and have no idea what it was about. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I watched only a couple of episodes and I didn't really get it. It gets kind of surreal towards the end and lost me. You know, I imagine that I'm probably going to go through something basically the same as you when I watch it, if I watch it, because I am going to watch Evangelion at some point, and I imagine that I'm probably not going to like it that much. If I was younger, I probably would like it, but I don't know, dude. Count Dankula got divorced, and he was a big anime fan. I think that's why his wife left him for Jermaine Tyrone. Did you hear that, autistic neat gamer? Did you get that, autistic neat gaming? That's what's going to end up happening to you if you keep watching cartoons, bro. If you keep watching cartoons, that's what's going to happen to you. You may understand more than I, since it's supposed to be biblically symbolic or something. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I don't think that Evangelion is the best anime. Definitely not. Maybe the best at whatever it was originally made for, which was a millennial audience, not a Coomer audience, but a millennial audience, by the way. Rick Perry says the Marvel cartoons of the '90s were great. Yeah, I remember those. What was it? You know, they were talking about this on Kanzenshu. How people that were fans of the what were those mutants again? Yeah, this happened a lot too. A lot of fans of this show it was called the Mutant Marvel Comic Mutant something. That's it, the X-Men. They talked about this on Kanzenshu, how a lot of fans that were there were people that grew up watching the X-Men from 1992 became fans of Dragon Ball Z. A lot of X-Men and Marvel fans became fans of Dragon Ball. Let's see here. The Marvel cartoons of the 90s were great. Great art and long story. South Korean sourced, basically anime. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. The Transformers, I really like the Transformers. And yeah, the Transformers and stuff, they were made, and G.I. Joe, a real American hero, were made in South Korea too. Bedtime, Sam Bedtime, great bands, Warhammer, and Happy 4th. Thanks, bro. I would just hope that the American people would try to rise up and stop this Project 2025. So Code of Truth. I was talking a bit about Montagraph and this and crypto. Montagraph did a video talking about Andrew Tate and crypto, but I was mostly talking about my dislike of Project 2025 and how it's basically setting up a right-wing dictatorship, fascist dictatorship into power. Code of Truth says, no offense, but Sam B is sus, and so is his bedtime hours. Well, there you go, bro. All the Coomers have left. All the Coomers have left, bro. Yeah, and Fortnite is inferior to Minecraft. Minecraft is also a Zoomer gaming franchise, and I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I would say that Minecraft is better. Minecraft is much better than Fortard. Fortart, bro. Fortart? Are you kidding me, bro? Fortart? Oh yes, that stupid Zoomer game. That stupid gay ass Zoomer game shit. Let's see here. Yeah, Evangelion was for millennials. It was not for Coomers, dude. Evangelion was not meant for Coomers. It was meant for millennials. That's good that you're watching Montagraph. He's got good info and opinions. I've been watching for a year now. Yeah, I mean, I just really started to watch Montagraph, and I don't know too much about his background, so I don't know where he gets his knowledge and sources from. It's kind of weird that he knows all this stuff or claims to know about it. The way that he claims, Code of Truth, that he's doxed all these people and stuff and not gotten away with it is kind of bizarre. The Filmation and Ruddy Spears cartoons of the 70s to 80s were the high watermark of American animation. He-Man is the knee plus ultra. Thundercats, which followed, was basically anime. Yeah, I would have to go back and look at that. I used to watch that stuff all the time on the Cartoon Network, Rick Perry. For the first few years of Cartoon Network's existence, all they did was just show reruns of the Looney Tunes and that kind of stuff. And it was actually fun. Believe it or not, there was actually a time when Cartoon Network was actually good. Now with like Adventure Time and stuff, it's sus, bro. It's just absolute sus. Yeah, I don't know about Evangelion. I'm going to stay on the fence until I do finally watch it, but yeah, you can tell that this was made for a millennial audience. A Japanese millennial audience. Montagraph is a master at information gathering and is a master doxer. Well, I mean, that's what paid intel does. Paid intel is involved in that. He's been in the tech industry and the internet since 1988. Wow, dude. He had servers on the internet since 1994, I believe. Wow, bro. He's been on the internet since 1988. That's only a year after I was born. That was just 1 year after I was born. So that's basically my entire lifetime. So he really is an old guy. Damn, he might actually be a boomer. I was thinking that he was a Gen Xer, but he might actually be a legit baby boomer. Moreover, on the doxing, Montagraph claims to be the best on the planet, although he only doxes in self-defense. I don't know about the best on the planet, dude. That just kind of sounds like a. I don't know about the best, bro. That just kind of sounds rather cringe. But okay, sure. But yeah, the Ukraine is a fake country, and I mean, I would hate to be Ukrainian. I think I would just go over to the Russian side if they're going to like export fake false civic values, but that's just me. Rick Perry says 80s cartoon. Spider-Man and his amazing friends was hard AF. You know, I did enjoy Spider-Man and his amazing friends, although they did an episode of Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. Or they did an episode where they showed like this movie thing about the Nazis or something. But I don't remember too much about it. I wouldn't use old cartoons to tell history and stuff, but I remember Spider-Man and his amazing friends. I liked the Fantastic Four. I actually really enjoyed the Fantastic Four the most. But yeah, shit back then was just so much better. Even the colors, the flashy colors of the cartoon styles were just better. Movies were better. The internet was better. Everything was better. And everything today is crap. Everything today is trash, bro. Yeah, everything that's in the 2020s and 2010s is cooming. It was made for coomers because all Zoomers are coomers. And every Zoomer that has ever lived is a coomer, including Stoic, because everybody knows that Stoic is in fact a Zoomer and a coomer. That's why he looks the way that he does, because he cooms. Maybe if Stoic was to stop cooming and actually try to just find a girlfriend, he would stop being an incel. Spider-Man and his amazing friends were hard AF. Forge Gang! I am still a hard man. Forge Gang! I am still a hard man. Let's go. Let's go! Woohoo! Yeah! Code of Truth say, Warhammer, you gotta hire an escort soon enough. Ha 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 ha. Well, I mean, maybe I could hire Rick Perry. No, 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 no. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding about that. I'm just kidding, dude. Yes, I should hire an escort, bro. Rick Perry says that Stoic has returned to Cooming since becoming a Marcionite Gnostic. A Marcionite Gnostic. Yesterday, he even admitted to taking this position because it was the opposite of Drake's. Well, that's kind of dumb. You know, it's people like him that make Southern Israelites sound based. You know, dude, Southern Israelites should literally pay Stoic to be like his poster boy. Because, like, Stoic actually helps Southern Israelite in promoting his material. But yeah, I don't know if I would follow your advice, Code of Truth, and like go to Houston to get a black woman. I don't know about that. Also, I don't think a woman would suck my dick for only $100, dude. Even a black woman. I hear that shit is pretty expensive, to tell you the truth. Rick Perry says Shreks or Shrieks. Well, I guess all the Coomers went to bed. Too bad. I mean, could you imagine being a Zoomer and not knowing how to do a full night? I don't know if I could get it for only $40 to $60, dude. Dude, you could get one for $40 to $60. I don't know, bro. 100 is generous. Dude, if I could just get it for $40, I'd have it made, man. To go out with an escort. Drake's Augustinianism and philosophy of science is very good. 75% of his content is... I can't read. Yeah, but what about the 25% of it that's not? What about the 25% of it that's not, dude? Oh, by the way, I talked to this guy called Dreamily Resonant VIP. And he's a guy from Israel, and he's actually a pretty nice dude. He's kind of nerdy like I am. Like, dude, I'm a nerd, okay? Most Asperger's people are just basically nerds. Nerds and Asperger's people are just basically the same thing. I mean, I'm not an ugly looking nerd. I'm not a stereotypical nerd, but I am pretty much a nerd, I gotta say. But I do know some things about coding. I do know how to code a little bit, but I never really tried to learn it as a trade or nothing. I certainly don't know that much like Montagraph does, but I do know some coding. Rick Perry says, yes, the 25% heresy is a problem. Sometimes that admixture can be more dangerous than blatantly obvious heresy. Yeah, dude. I mean, I have seen Mr. Jay Dyer talk about Augustinianism and scholastics and stuff. And I've heard him talk about how Augustinianism is a heresy. That's Jay Dyer that says that, by the way. And 75% of his content, etc., etc. Well, I mean, dude, Southern Israelite thinks that the new covenant did not replace the old covenant, and he thinks that we're still in the Old Testament. I know. I've seen him say that we're still living in an Old Testament world. and that's just silly. Maybe in terms of a worldly system, because the system of the beast that we're living under right now hasn't really changed that much since Nimrod, since the Tower of Babel. That's why it's called Babylon the Great, or Mystery Babylon, because we are still under the same Babylonian system as it was back then. So maybe in a sense he could be right about that, but I don't know what Bible Drake Shackleton is reading from, but yeah, the church is the new Israel. The church is the new Israel. Like, the Jews are not, the Jews don't hold any covenant with God anymore. It is the church that has the covenant. But dude, honestly, I don't even know if I really believe anymore. I don't even know if I really care at this point. My faith has fallen under a lot of challenges lately. I've been in some discords with some real scumbags in politics or in poll on Discord. And like, those people are just scum. I got called the N word for no reason. I just said that the elites will use the hatred and prejudices of people to keep people fighting with each other while the elites control them. And just for saying that, I was fucking muted for no reason. Okay, for no good reason, dude. Warriors of the Shire says they call it Discord for a reason. Well, honestly, bro, I'm going to tell you that, like, there are some really cringe atheists and soy boys out there, but I've talked to some atheists and they actually sound pretty reasonable compared to these people that say that they're Christian or religious and they talk like complete and utter scumbags. All they want to do is just hate anybody that's not like them. All they want to do is talk about why they hate and how much that they hate. Rick Perry says you attract shrapnel when you're over the target. Yes, that is true. I mean, I told them basically that you're just wasting your time mentally masturbating with this nonsense. I told them myself that all you're doing is turning people away from your movement. All you're going to do is just turn people away with your hatred and bigotry. And you're not going to convince anyone to come to Christ. There's no message of hate in the gospel. It's only a message of love. The Bible, Old and New Testament, is a message of love. It is not a message of hate and rejection. It's a message of acceptance, Be smart and become agnostic or deist. Religion is a man-made tyranny. It is, but so is the state. I mean, if I'm going to do that code of truth, then I need to also become an anarchist. If I'm going to be consistent as an agnostic, then I need to be an anarchist and an anti-racist. There's no point in being an atheist or an agnostic and also remaining a racist or a patriot. In order to be corporeally consistent, I would have to give up any belief in the state, become an anarchist, politically anarchistic, and also give up on race. It's either that or stay religious and believe in the state and believe in biology. I mean, it's one or the other. That's the only way to be theologically or philosophically consistent with that. Rick Perry says those so-called religious are merely political. Well, I was very political. and they were on a witch hunt for atheists. They were basically on a witch hunt for Jews, Muslims, atheists, agnostics. Like they were on a big freaking hunt for anyone that was not like them, that was not alt-right, that was not white, that was not Catholic or Protestant, because some of them were Protestants. They weren't all Catholics. There was I think there was one Orthodox and a few Protestants, but mostly Catholics. But dude, all they did was just hate. And it's just something else, dude. Code of Truth says, I'm not so sure about that. Well, I mean, most people that become agnostic usually also are left wing. You know, it's either be religious, capitalist, and right wing, or be agnostic, leftist, and communist. And if not communist, then anarchist. That's the only way to be completely consistent. I mean, I don't really care about the left or the right. I hate both. I don't care at all for market capitalism, and I don't care for communism. I don't care for free market capitalism or totalitarian atheistic communism. I'm against all of it. I think that all that stuff is just a distraction away from real issues in the development of civilization overall. Rick Perry says that Stoic was hoping to attract Drake's attention. Why would anybody want to get that guy's attention? Like, honestly, like, really, dude? Why is it so important to get that guy's attention by posturing as a Gnostic and even lamented over his absence? I predicted that Drake's attention would withdraw from Stoic after I left. Well, there you go. Probably because he's a Freemason. Southern Israelite is a Freemason or a Hermeticist. And he's a Hermeticist. He follows who was that guy's name again? I'm starting to get a little bit freaking forgetful. But anyways, Drake Shelton like wants to be like Aldous Huxley. Like he wants to like be this Christian Calvinist Judaizer, like freaking Bertrand Russell guy that thinks that he's going to master the universe with mathematics. What a crazy idiot. It's just something else, dude. Why was Southern Israelite so interested in Stoic? Was it simply because of you specifically or something else? Because I know that Southern Israelite was after something more than just like making fun of Stoic because he was a NEET or whatever, or an incel. I know that there was something deeper going on there. I don't know entirely what it was, but it's just weird. I predicted that Drake's attention would withdraw from Stoic after I left. Yeah, I mean, Stoic is just a mental masturbator. Drake is right about that, at least. Stoic found his first fervor of faith on SI's platform. Thus, unconsciously views SI as his spiritual father. Yeah, I mean, I found my further of faith in Eric John Phelps. So, thankfully, at least, Southern Israelite was not where I first found my grounding in faith. In terms of like a Christian that actually knew, a religious person that actually knew what he was talking about, that could actually explain his theology in a understandable way. Who was the guy that talked about the three world wars again? Because that's it, Albert Pike. Yeah, Southern Israelite defended Albert Pike because he was a segregationist, a Anglo-Saxon segregationist, or just Anglo-Saxon supremacist. And so just because Albert Pike, who has been dead for well over 150 years, is an Anglo-Saxon supremacist, you know, he's going to try to find inspiration from Albert Pike. Wow, dude. Really? Southern Israelite had to stop dialoguing with me because he couldn't debunk my refutations. Good, man. You need to do some refutations on Jay Dyer and Eric John Phelps as well. But nevertheless, you know, great refutations. He could only attack me indirectly after that, through strawman attacks on Stoic. Oh, I see. Okay, so that's what that was about. Okay, I see. So that's why he went to Stoic, because he saw Stoic as very easily impressible and self-doubting about what you said to him, and that's why he used Stoic. He used Stoic to get to you because he was the weakest link. I see. Well, dude, I'm glad that Southern Israelite was not the first major theologian person that I came across. But thankfully, Southern Israelite did not have that sort of an impact on me. Like, I was older than Stoic. I'm older than Stoic, and so I was a little bit wiser and better adapted at the stuff that I read than him. SI has no nuanced understanding of the dialectics of Freemasonry, the dichotomy between the Anglo regular Freemasonry and the continental irregular. There is no contradistinction. That's interesting, because he thought that most of the Freemasonry was from France, or at least the type of Freemasonry that resulted in Jacobinism. He thought that that type of Freemasonry came from France and was unrelated to the Freemasonry from Britain. He actually thought that, like, the Jacobin style Freemasonry was completely different from British Freemasonry. I'm pretty sure that he thought that, or at least he thought it was in the most of the 1700s, anyways, and early 1800s, and then it was only later that they actually joined and became the same, or their rites joined and became the same rite. Rick Perry says irregular Freemasonry was used to destabilize foreign countries, overthrow throne and altar, and is ironically the spearhead of Masonic ideology. That would actually make sense, dude. How did you get involved in this kind of stuff? Because you said that you had okay, I won't say it on here. For your protection, I won't say anything about your personal life story. But I can say that Bill Cooper, not Rick Perry, Bill Cooper had his legs broken after he started to come out and talk about his involvement in naval intelligence. And Bill Cooper had both of his legs broken in a so-called accident, which was not an accident because he came out and he told his local newspaper about what he found out about UFOs during his time in naval intelligence. Rick Perry says, which has been used on its home territories to destabilize Britain, pursuant to the ultimate aims of Freemasonic globalization. So that's why they used the American experiment to primarily push for globalization. That's why they were able to do it through Pax Americana, but not so much through Pax Britannica. So that's why they switched after the wars to the Pax Americana, because the Pax Americana was an easier cover, an easier cloak to cover for globalization. Okay, so yeah, that's what Rick Perry told me. I had my shoulder broken, and I would have probably been killed had I not managed to escape my assailants. Did you have to change your identity or something? How did you ultimately, how were you able though to save your life? Like, what finally prevented them from not coming after you? Because, I mean, if they were going to do this, what stopped it? What changed it? Did you successfully escape and change your identity or something? Or, like, what happened? Rick Perry says, yes, see, the new Atlantis has the model for Burgerland, America, has the staging area and beta testing grounds for the NWO. They also kind of used China as well. At least for the last 30 years after China opened up, I kind of noticed that they used Hong Kong and Macau, and to a lesser degree, mainland China has a beta staging ground too. The Arab Emirates are probably actually the closest model today in terms of what they want in a globalist state. It would actually be the United Emirates. That area in the Persian Gulf, the United Emirates, specifically Abu Dhabi, that is probably actually the closest thing today that the NWO actually wants for a one world state. Rick Perry says, I subsequently stopped whistleblowing in 2007 until I lost my dependence in 2020 and resumed my activities until 22. Yeah, and I was there. I started to watch Stoic around that time. I already had known about Southern Israelite from before that time even. And yeah, I was there. I was there when you were doing that. And I saw a lot of that. I was there and I saw a bunch of it. Yeah, it seems that after 1945, before 1945, they were not irregular Freemasons were not necessarily so upset if somebody came out and talked about their agenda. But after the invention of the television and the invention of radio and all these other technologies and mass media communications, the Freemasons became a lot more touchy about this knowledge getting out to the public. Rick Perry says, we caught a little heat from 20 to 22. Yeah, Bill Pyle. Yes, I was there with the Bill Pyle stuff. This is why Stoic is pissed off at both of us, actually. And Jeff Berry, too, is because of this. Rick Perry says, ironically, I think Stoic bore the brunt of it. It's because he went to that RV. It's because he went to the RV with that stuff. It's because he went and opened his mouth and went out into the public. If he had just stayed at home at his apartment and not gone to that stupid RV stuff and interacted with people like Baked Alaska, I don't think that Bill Pyle would have ever showed up. Like, there would not have been any Bill Pyle or none of that, or even Pimpin' Pat. None of that would have happened if he had not gone to that RV. Because he did that, that's why those agents hired Pimpin' Pat and Bill Pyle. Bill Pyle's channel especially, because Pimpin' Pat is a complete joke. The Pimpin' Pat stuff is totally innocent, but the Bill Pyle stuff is really bizarre. Ironically, I think Stoic bore the brunt of it. Yeah, I'm really surprised that they even noticed me, because, like, nobody was watching my channel. I didn't really even have any videos up. Nobody was watching my channel or nothing. And I was doing like those game streams of Mario 64. Nobody was watching that stuff, and I almost gave up, ironically. I put a lot of effort into my streams back then. Yeah, from 45, the baton passed from Freemasonry to intelligence proper. Oh, so there was intelligence agencies before Freemasonry came along? Because I thought that those things had different origins. Stoic became our front man. We basically utilized his desire for fame to expose the political issues at hand. Somebody had to do it because, I mean, think of it like this. Think of it. Jay Dyer and Southern Israelite and a handful of other guys like Veritas Equitas, those are the only people that are actually talking about these subjects deeper than QAnon proper. Like, these guys are talking about these subjects that are deeper than QAnon. Because most people are not going to look deeper than QAnon theory. Those guys were doing it, but they were giving misinformation. And maybe they didn't realize that there was a lot of misinformation involved, but there was. Bill Pyle is definitely Alan Beckwith. No doubt about it. Then who is this Mac? I don't think that Mac is actually Alan Beckwith, but they have the same logo. This I'll show you. Like, Mac, Finding Freedom, and Bill Pyle have the same logo. They have the same Air Force logo. I don't understand why they're using the Air Force logo stuff Was it because we were talking about the flat Earth? Was it because we were talking about the globe, Earth, and the flat Earth stuff? Is that what might have attracted Alan Beckwith to what we were doing? I always kind of wondered about that. Intel started in Great Britain in the 30s. Well, I think they were also in Germany too. Germany and Switzerland. Switzerland has always been a place where there was a lot of those kind of agencies, just globalist international agencies. I mean, if you just do the research, a lot of them are based in Switzerland. Switzerland was actually had the most spy rings of any country in World War II, outside of either maybe the United States or Japan or China. But like Switzerland and Sweden, just because they were neutral countries, they had the most spy rings in the entire world back then in that period. And they created their sister organizations in the US in the 40s. Yeah, the Five Eyes Nations. The Five Eyes Nations of the Anglosphere and the 14 Eyes Nations of Europe. In the case of Europe, Germany and those other places. Rick Perry says the USAF logo is just coincidental, I think. Rick Perry says, I'm convinced it was the exposure of the January 6th insurrection plot and our undermining and precipitation of this move that triggered Alan Beckwith. How did he know? Like, how would he know unless he saw it on IP2? The only way he could have saw it was on IP2. And he would have been watching IP2 and he would have noticed it there. It had to have been on IP2 or a third-party website related to IP2. And it could have only been on IP2. But it's just so bizarre that the Air Force, the USAF logo, and I think the US Air Force changed their name some time ago from that. They use a different brand, but the USAF was their name in the Second World War. But yeah, it's just bizarre that Bill Pyle and this other guy, Mac. Usually he calls himself Mac or Finding Freedom. Yeah, they have the exact same logo. The only difference is that in the case of Bill Pyle, dude, he took down my videos. Yeah, he uses the same kind of Bugman. He uses the same Stoic has like a soy Bugman kind of Antifa Bugman thumbnail on all of his video list. Yeah, in the case of Bill Pyle, the USAF logo is black, and in the case of Mac, it's dark blue. It's more of navy blue. Stoic was all over IP2, undermining the Neo Dreyfus affair. Yep. Well, the Neo Dreyfus affair, in fact, is Project 2025. That is the Neo Dreyfus affair. And I'm not trying to give credit to Stoic or Southern Israelite. I could care less for either of those guys, but I'm just saying the Neo Dreyfus plot is Project 2025 by the Heritage Foundation. It's the one and the same. That is our Dreyfus affair. It is the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. That's it. That's the Dreyfus affair. But yes, God can use wicked men to do his purposes in this world. That even happens in the Bible. God uses the kings of Assyria to punish Israel, to punish the northern state of Israel for its apostasy away from God. They would keep worshiping idols, and God would use the Assyrian king to punish Israel for falling into apostasy. So, God can use evil men for his greater glory, for his greater good. Neo-Dreyfus is Drake Shelton's terminology, but it's just simple political pendulum swing theory. Yeah, sort of like we had Jimmy Carter, then we had Ronald Reagan. In your country, you had McMahon, Jimmy McMahon, and then you had Margaret Thatcher in 1979. And that was like very big. Very few people understand how significant it was for the rise of Margaret Thatcher and her swing back to the far right, how significant that was in Britain, because Margaret Thatcher's administration was the first time after the war that you guys had a far right prime minister. And up until that time, that was just unheard of in Britain. So, I understand what you mean about that. Pendulum swing theory. Drake overestimates the singularness of his ideas by coining a particular terminology. Well, Drake is a Judaizer also, or a Hebraicist. And he thinks that, the polar opposite of that is Gnosticism. So in his understanding, anything that doesn't resort to Judaizing is Gnostic, is Marcionite or Gnosticism, or Gnostic. I'm just chewing some anti-acid pills right fast. Why did Stoic use his terminology of Stoic is Roman Catholic, though? Maybe back then he didn't identify his trad, but now he does identify his trad. So why does he utilize that Neo-Dreyfus terminology that he appropriated from Drake ultimately? And then Drake appropriated it from Veritas Equitas and Eric John Phelps. The Neo-Dreyfus is Drake's terminology, but it's just a simple political pendulum swing theory. Drake overestimates the singularness of his ideas by coining a particular terminology. Yeah, because he thinks that his position is right. He thinks that only his position could be the only right position, and that everything else consequently is wrong or somehow not right or just wrong, period. Because he only thinks in terms of black versus white. Rick Perry says Drake's use of Joachimite, for instance, is just him trying to lay claim to exposing Gnosticism. The only reason I used his Neo-Dreyfus terminology in relation to Stoic is because that is what Stoic was operating from at the time. It was very foolish of Stoic to use his terms. That is Drake Shelton's terminology. I don't know. Dreyfus affair or political pendulum spin over to the far right or the far conservative end, which is actually not really conservative. It's actually just Christian Zionism. The pendulum over to the far right is just Christian Zionism or Zionist evangelical Protestantism at any rate. It's actually not really a far right ideology, but I digress. Stoic was a Drakeite at the time. I know, but then a semi-Sheltonian partial Drakist. I think it's funny that Drake has that pagan name because Drake is actually Greek. It's not even Hebrew. His last name is Anglo-Saxon and his first name is Greek. And it's just funny that he has like a pagan Greek name trying to be a Judaizer. Awesome. It's actually about to be 6 o'clock over here on my side of the world. Yeah, it's about to be 6 o'clock on my side of the world. Oh, did you watch Jean's stream last night, or were you asleep? Because Jean is getting a lot better at streaming. The first time that I watched Jim, he wasn't too good at it. He was kind of shy and just kind of off. Like I was when I started streaming, or like Stoic when he started streaming. I mean, we all just seem off when we start doing this. It's not normal to talk to nobody but just a machine and just, have it go out on the internet where other people listen to it. It takes practice. We all went through that, but Jeem has gotten a lot better. The council, the second council of, what was it? Was it the second Lateran Council or the third Lateran Council? Yeah, the third Lateran Council condemned Joachim of Fiore as a heretic. Or was it the first Vienne Council? But he was condemned as a heretic, actually, by the pontificate, well, the bishops at the council, since it wasn't ultramontanists that were running the cardinal college yet. The College of Cardinals were not quite yet ultramontane. Joachim was just one small minor instance of Gnostic thought. Dispensationalism, or Aeonic precession, is an ancient Gnostic notion. Therefore, Joachimite is an accurate appellation. The Puritans were dispensational. Ironically, the Puritans were also kind of Gnostic. The Puritan fathers, or the Pilgrim fathers, they were Gnostic. Like the Protestants, some of the Protestants were Gnostic as well. It wasn't just necessarily only Catholics or Orthodox that went through that. Therefore, Joachimite is an inaccurate appellation. Well, Southern Israelite will say that the Jesuits were trying to fulfill Joachim's three-age prophecy. Yeah, Jim puts a lot of thought into his direction. He does, very much. Rick Perry says, true, only Protestantism embraced Joachimite thought, ironically. How did that happen, though? Is it because Meister Eckhart was one of Martin Luther's influencers? Martin Luther read Meister Eckhart. And who was the other guy? The Occam guy? Because Meister Eckhart was there was another guy. And he lived back in the 1200s. Joachim of Fiore lived in the 1100s AD. Yeah, the early 1300s. Eckhart von Hockheim. Eckhart of Tambach near Gotha. Or Gotha. This is in central Germany. The movement of the heavenly bodies I was previously referring to, and how the sun is rising and setting at a different declination, is a consequence of Aeonic precession. Aeonic precession. The roots of dispensationalism. Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, isn't that kind of related to astrology? Because astrology was lost in Europe for a long time, and it actually flourished in the Islamic world, and it was later brought back into Europe after the fall of Rome. The precession of the equinoxes, which the global warming hoax is leveraging. Yeah, global warming is fake. There's no doubt that global warming is a hoax. Astrotheology. Isn't there a lunar version to astrotheology as well? Because, it's just very bizarre. You and Code of Truth are the only two guys watching me now. Yeah, that other guy, that autistic neat gamer guy, he's only 20-something years old. He doesn't know anything. Those young guys have not been around the block. They don't know how life actually works. I can tell that Gene is also quite young too. He's only in his early 30s, isn't he? Gene's apologetics. Like, he's only in his early 30s. I mean, I'm not too old, but I'm also not too young. But yeah. DP, do you practice semen retention? I don't. I don't actually practice it, no. I mean, sometimes I'll hold it for like 48 hours at most, but that's it. I've never held my semen back for more than a week. It's probably why I've always managed to keep my hair. Like, dude, if you don't masturbate a lot, you'll lose your hair. Like guys that don't do it often end up losing their hair, going bald, and just all sorts of stuff because of high testosterone. Having a lot of testosterone will cause you to go bald. It'll cause you to lose your hair and stuff. And like, I came close to almost losing my hair, but I managed to save it. I managed to save my hair from going completely bald. The furthest constellations are regarded as aeons. Why do they call them quasars then? Well, then why do they call them high particle speed quasars around supermassive black holes or whatever? It's just so bizarre. Dun dun dun. Yeah, dude. Regular Masonic lodges meet on a lunar basis of every 28 days. Royal Arch chapters follow a solar cycle. That's really interesting. I have noticed in like really old paintings are depictions inside of the lodges. It looks like a chessboard. What they do is they have it looking like a chessboard. They wear like different types of clothing or costume, and they will have a sun on one side and a moon on the other. And in the middle, they'll have a giant letter that probably represents the name of their lodge or something. But they'll have a set of kind of giant letters in some kind of Latin font. It's definitely a Western sort of Latin font. It could be in English, but I'm not for sure. But it's very basic. There's a sun on one side and a moon on the other side to represent the flow of the days. And it kind of looks like a giant chessboard inside of it. The numbers and the settings and representation of numbers is very important to Masonry. Every number has a very specific purpose. Every symbology in a given numerical equation is highly important, highly specific, and extremely, extremely important in the lodge. But I can show you Eugen Weber's old video from a very long time ago. I actually cannot believe that this was on television, but I can show this. But to be quite frank, I was really surprised that this was actually played on television. But yeah, this was actually on television at one point, and I can show this to you in regards to the craft. Okay, hold on a second. Royal Arch Chessboard Masonic mosaic pavement is red and white, as opposed to the black and white of regular craft lodges. Why the red and white? What does that symbolize? British police have a black and white checkered trim. City of London police have a red and white checkered trim for the same reason.
The Mason believed in God, but not in any particular God, not in the God of any.
But yeah, here's this is Eugene Weber's thing.
As a matter of fact, if you look at the medallions on the back of our dollar bill, the first principle of Freemasonry was a cult of humanity. This didn't challenge the power of kings, but it did challenge the dogmas of established religion. The Mason believed in God, but not in any particular God, not in the God of any particular church or revelation. And the Mason believed in reason, and in the natural religion only reason could reveal, so he wasn't impressed by religious rituals. He had his own, which we call deism. More immediately important, Masonic societies added to the number of clubs which spread the progressive ideas of Paris through the provinces, which provided a sort of capillary system for the new ideas to seep into the attitudes of the upper and middle classes. And along with ideas, the vocabulary changed radically. This is the time when the word social turns from sociability to society, and it acquires its present meaning as in sociology, as in social science. Now, this is when words like capitalist appear, when nation and national acquire their modern sense. And this is when terms like people or populace shed their pejorative sense, as in the common people, the vile populace. And they become, as the Encyclopedia of Diderot and Voltaire puts it, the most numerous and necessary part of the nation. This transformation of the vocabulary is a sign that ideas are changing and changing profoundly. A few words dominate the century: nature, happiness, virtue, reason, progress. Now, these words are not new, and they do not mean the same thing for everybody, but there is nevertheless a spirit of the time, a broad agreement on certain basic notions.
Yeah, so right at the time that social sciences were created, right at the time that the social sciences and like psychology and modern medicine and all these other things came about, right at the exact same time that Freemasonry is thriving in Paris and London and Edinburgh. In Edinburgh, London, Boston, and Paris. Canary Wharf is on the Isle of Dogs. The Canary Islands were originally called the Canis, Dog Islands. Thus, Canary Wharf, the city of London, is Canis, or Dog Wharf, on the Isle of Dogs. Dog Star. John Dee, a performer of magical working on the Isle of Dogs, designating it the Paw. Yeah, he was from the 16th century. A Tudor mathematician and a Tudor era an Elizabethan Tudor. Elizabethan mathematician and magician and sorcerer. John Dee performanced a magical working on the Isle of Dogs, declaring it the power center of the future British Empire. Dee considered this location was Yeah, in the 15th century, there was a huge interest in Arthurian lore, even though the original Welsh legend was quite different or distinct from what the French later wrote, or the French bards later wrote about in regards to King Arthur. Why did he think that the Isle of Dogs was where Arthur lived? Check out the dragon heraldry of the city of London, highlighted in the Hammer film, To the Devil a Daughter. To the Devil a Daughter, 1976. Oh, dark, dissentious delight, whims anthropos to bend, whims anthropos to bend, whims of the coils to bith with. Oh, such blackened dissension, such slumbering, wistful, whimsical whims, and such far-fetched delights. Yeah, the Tudors would actually the Tudors were very what is the word? Very dressing in terms of their poetry. The way that the Tudors wrote, just melancholy, that's it. The Victorians were especially melancholy. So depressing and melancholic, the way that they would write their letters. Especially Victorian women. It's as if the soul was stripped out of their bodies. Nothing left but just bare bones. The Muscovy hat is another important Baltic emblem used by the city of London. London was one of the Hanseatic trading ports. In fact, wasn't that how London actually originally started to become an important trading center? Was because of the Hanseatic League. And the Hanseatic League had a guild in London and Tallinn, Estonia, and close to Novgorod, because Novgorod was also for a time part of the Hanseatic League, or the trading course of the Hanseatic League. And so was Amsterdam, London and Amsterdam. Horrifiedmagazine.uk. I don't know why I clicked on that. Okay. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that the King James Bible has a Masonic origin to it. Yep, there's the pictogram. The typical pictogram of a magical summoning, magical seance, magical summoning. Usually will go head and toe with a pictogram of some kind. A star or a seven-pointed hexagram. I apologize, the hexagram. British and Dutch East India Companies. The French also had an East India Company, but they closed theirs down after a few years. They also opened theirs considerably later, and the Swedes had an East India Company. Sweden also had an East India Company, and I think so too did the Danes. The Danes, the Swedes, the Dutch, the English, and the Portuguese. Venetians, dude. It's a Florentine Venetian origin to these East India companies, because the Venetians were the first to actually open up direct trade with the Far Orient, the far off Indies, the East Indies or the Orient, because they would call the entire region of the southern coastline of China, Vietnam, Siam, Singapore, India, they called all of that the East Indies. It wasn't just Indonesia, but all of that entire region, they called it the East Indies back then. Yeah. Also, the reason why we call Native Americans Indians was because Christopher Columbus thought that he was somewhere close to Asia. Christopher Columbus thought that he was like in Japan or something. He was like in either Japan or in Java. He thought that he was like around Java or Indonesia or like somewhere like Japan or like somewhere not too far off the mainland of Asia. But he was actually in the West Indies in North America. The Jesuits were inducted into the Anglosphere, working directly from the British East India Company's vessels. See the film Shogun. How did the Jews go from being just basically ascetics of sorts, just these counter-Reformation ascetics? Of course, it was 100 years, 200 years between the lifetime of Ignatius of Loyola and that time period when they started to drift away from that in the 1700s. But when did they stop being basically ultramontane ascetics to becoming basically just hermeticists? The Jews were used in royal courts to conduct usury because Christua. Yeah, well, actually, some Italians engaged in usury as well. Some Italian banking families married into the Rothschilds. In fact, quite a few Italian trading families married in with Jews. This was especially common in medieval Venice, in early modern Venice. Um, Now, they did eventually build a ghetto in Venice, but for a long time there was no ghettos in Venice. Um, and Venice was one of the last Italian cities to have its own ghetto. But yeah, Christian countries were prohibited. Well, so were Muslims too. Muslims were prohibited from usury. Yeah, well, the only reason why Jews were allowed to practice usury was only because of Christianity. But Christianity has been far more responsible for creating the modern world or leading to a lot of the problems we have, especially because of the influence of Platonism. The main problem that I see with the church is the induction of Platonism. And while Platonism itself is not a totally corrupting force, and it's only just a partial problem, Gnosticism is definitely a bad thing. But the problem that happened with Christianity was definitely Neoplatonism through Plotinus. And this is more of a problem with Western scholastic Christianity than with the Eastern Church. But definitely when the scholastics started to borrow Aristotelian ideals, that's when things started to get bad. The reason that Pope Leo X attempted to dilute the church with Hermeticism was because he was attempting to circumvent the prohibition on usury. Oh, I see. I did not know that. Yeah, because most of the people in the Renaissance wanted to bring paganism back. They wanted to revive the practice of paganism. They wanted to bring back the splendors of ancient pagan antiquity and to try to replace it with kind of what they regarded as the dullard Christian ascetic lifestyle. They found Christianity to be dullard, and they wanted to bring back ancient pagan antiquity because they found it more marvelous. Following the Episcopal College's refusal to allow Leo X's attempts to do this, the Hermetic impetus had to jockey Protestantism on behalf of these bankers. So that's why they did the Reformation, to basically create a Judaized Christian society that would actually lift the ban on usury. This could allow a more usurious Judaized society. Leo X was a Florentine banker and the second richest man in the world after the Chinese Ming Emperor, who was inconsequential because they were insular. Yeah, well, the only reason the Chinese were wealthy was because of their dominance in jade. The influence and dominance of the Chinese in jade, in what is it, in some spices, some acquisition of spices, jade, silk weaving, silk, that's it, silk, and certain types of cast iron and wood is the reason why the Chinese were so wealthy. That was the only reason. They had a complete dominate monopoly on, for a long time, silk especially. And then the Europeans outdid them at silk. All comes down to mammon ultimately. Marco Polo really got people going and interested in the Orient. Christopher Columbus said that that was his favorite book, that book changed his life, was Marco Polo's travels in Cathay. They used to refer to China as Cathay, but yes. Now China is ironically trying to reclaim that position, a position it didn't even try to retain back in the day because of how insular they were. And now that they know what the West can do, they want to try everything in their power to not let that happen again. Ironically, they want to go back to that glory. But Code of Truth had asked, Code of Truth had actually been asking me on Discord some time ago about why it was that I was so much against Protestantism, or what had brought me to be against Protestantism. This is the reason why. This is the reason why, Code of Truth. Because these people, these bankers, were trying to justify the practice of usury in Christian countries when there had been a formal ban against it all throughout the Middle Ages, because that was considered to be Talmudic. The Talmud allowed for Jews to tax Christians, and Christians could not tax Jews, but Jews could take advantage of putting non-Jews in debt. And because of that, the popes banned they outlawed the spreading of the Talmud. That's why the Talmud was banned, and why the Jews were kicked out of so many countries back in the Middle Ages. And then these Florentine and Italian banking families, like the Farnese as an example, they wanted to get wealthy with this kind of interest. So that's why they spearheaded the rise of Protestantism. So yeah, that's what happened. Code of Truth, or Omerta. If you wanted to know what that was all about, that's why these Hermeticist groups went to France, Germany, and Britain and basically funded and kickstarted the Protestant Reformation to lift the Christian ban on usury, which up until that point, only the Jews were actually allowed to practice usury and not Christians. After Martin Luther and after the Reformation, that all changed. Now Protestants could loan on schemes of usury, and nothing could be done to change or to alter it because they broke away from Rome. Or quote unquote, they broke communion with Rome and from canon law. So yeah, that's what happened. That was one of the main impetuses for the Reformation, and also for the Enlightenment. Because the point of the Enlightenment, like the Renaissance, was to revive paganism. It was to revive pagan antiquity. A lot of these people regarded Christianity has a dull religion, and they felt that the pagans of old had lived more fuller and more happier and glorious lives than that of Christian dullards, and they wanted to go back to that. And yeah, so that's what was going on. If you wanted to know, Code of Truth. But yeah, I think that these black nobility, the black nobility just put the Jews up there as their front men. And really, in fact, the Jews have been intermarrying with these black nobility Italian families for centuries, at least for well over 1,000 years. And like, they don't tell you this, but the Farnese and these other family lines, these other banking, these Gentile pagan or Gentile families like the Farnese and the Cristobadoldi, the Rothschilds married into these families for years. Vish Tusp says, hey man. Hey, what's up, Vish Tusp? What's up, bro? It's interesting that I find it interesting that Rick Perry talked about solar astrology, or was talking about solar astrology, and then you show up with the sun or with the depiction of the sun, which I find very interesting. It's as if the occult or symbolism has found its way into my chat. It's as if fates have converged. Vishtusp says, I love your TOEFL slide video. It's amazing. Thank you, man. I'm glad you like it. I'll try to make more in the future, but I'm not very good at making or mixing my own music. It takes a lot of time and a lot of practice. But yeah, just human beings are greedy. It's not just Jews, it's Gentiles. Gentiles are just as greedy and greed and incentive driven as non-Gentiles are. Ultimately, human beings are selfish. You know, that's why when I see a white person talk about how greedy Jews are, well, white people have gone all over the face of the earth and have conquered all of these lands and countries from the indigenous peoples. And they've done that in the name of greed and gold and lust and conquest. And it's like, how are white Christians less greedy compared to Jews? I just don't see that, man. You know, Chinese people are pretty greedy and self-centered too. Like the Chinese are very lustful for money and for wealth and power. And the Chinese and white people can be very greedy and selfish as well. So it's not like, dude, white people went to the Americas, they went to Africa for wealth and money. Like, I mean, come on, bro. How about Iranians? I don't really know that much about Iranians. I know a guy called, his name is Academic Agent. He's culturally British, though. He's culturally English, but he's half Iranian. And I've never really seen him ever say much of anything about wealth and about money and capital. In fact, he actually comes off as a bit of a leftist at times, actually, or at least just really liberal. He tries to be conservative, but then he comes off a bit liberal at times. But Academic Agent is part Iranian, and he doesn't seem selfish or greedy to me. But You know, Europeans have gone to Africa, they've gone to the Americas and to the Orient, and they have exploited and gotten money and cash. And how is that any less worse than what the state of Israel has done to Arabs? Like, how is that any better? How is that less greedy compared to what the Israelis have done to the Palestinians or to the Arabs? I'm just saying, dude, human beings are just evil. Human beings are just evil, dude, and fallen in sin and have fallen away from God. And it's like human beings are just evil, man. All people, regardless of like skin color, are just evil, dude. And I'm sorry, but like there's just something inherently evil about mankind. And that's just a fact, dude. Like all this stuff about like white people are evil or black people are evil or Jews are evil or Asians are evil. It's just bullshit, dude. All human beings are evil, man. All people everywhere can have the incentive to do good and bad things. Like every ethnic group on the face of the earth has been at war with another ethnic group. And human beings just collectively do evil stuff. They practice evil and they do sins. And this is just, the Bible is full of this. The Bible and other religious texts as well are full of the records of the fact that men are just inherently evil, dude. But yeah. Soulbreaker says the Turks have never been good at everything. I assume you mean anything. But yeah, humans are just fucked, dude. Human beings are fucked. Humanity collectively is just fucked, dude. Anyways, I think that's gonna be it.